fight the power like Big Chuck.
What's the status, 3?
I'm good, just making the world a better place, that's all.
Check it. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. You are feeling sleepy. Under deep hypnosis, I'm the composer, master of the opus. Mind on cruise control, lost all focus. Puppet masters love pulling strings. Herding the sheeple by selling dreams. You have to be asleep to live the American theme. They create the problem, then deliver the solution. Profit of both ends, all we fought for the illusion. The government are all one, but promote to divide. Walk right into the trap cause most people are blind. They can't see the plan has conquered the mind. While we sit here and argue, we can't get back time. History stays relevant, destroying our future. Self-destruction has become part of the culture, while the rich feed off the dead like vultures. No more hibernation, awoke to sleep the giant. Put a ripple through the system, awakening the vibrant. I'm the alkaline of water, Poseidon with the trident. Bitch.
What's up, Flat Earth Nation? Let's see if anybody else comes up in here. I was gonna play another song, but I'm not doing all that. We could always look at some pictures I got from Berlin, Germany. I think it was Berlin and a couple other towns and cities. I've been working my way around Germany before the war, just to see the beautiful architecture before it was destroyed. Now, what the hell is the word destroyed, right? What's destroyed? Huh. I'm gonna look that up. Let me turn this off. Banner. Oh, this is Berlin, Germany. Berlin, Germany. There's a Kreuzberg or some name. What are you dealing with, Flat Earth Nation? Just life in general. So far, the start of this year has been my worst ever. I'm not going to speak on things, but you know, I thought it'd be a new year, something good. Nope. But it'll get better. This is Krim. I can't say that word. I could barely see it. It's 1882. I can't read German, so. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's tough. It's been 22 years, I think, since my mother passed, and it don't it don't get easier. But I've learned to deal with it. Peace, maggot. Because you know, it's come to the point where I lost so many family, almost all my family. I just got my aunt left wherever she is. And then I lost so many friends. When a friend dies now, I'm just like, Another one. It's like you become numb to that shit. Then you start thinking, well, one day it'll be me. I believe it, Maggot, because, you know, Peace Stationary Pizza, that's a good attitude to have, Flat Earth Nation. Better attitude than I had when my mom died. I flipped the script. I think I lost my mind. I would yell at the sky and be like, "This is what you want, right?" I used to believe there was a God up there. Peace, Lonnie. But yeah, that's a good attitude to have, positive, and it just sucks. Like people say, at least you have memories. Yeah. What do people think? Good memories makes you happy? You know, at least for me, it don't. For a little bit, it does, and then you start thinking, well, I'll never have these memories again. You know, it's like, I don't know. I understand people say things to make you feel better, but yeah, Maggot. I believe that because just like Saddam, people said they love Saddam, just like, and he wasn't as evil as the pictures that were painted about him. Just like the man with the mustache, people said they loved him. He was a good leader. Um, but that's how it goes. You know, I understand that when there's a war, each country is going to paint propaganda against each other because I have to brainwash the people to hate the other side because that's the only way they can get people to fight for them. You know, they got to lie and put all this hatred out there, and people soak it in before even looking into anything. They soak it in. Just like the September event and the Hawaii event. These motherfuckers are so evil. They'll kill their own so-called people to start a war. So let me go over these few pictures I got. I got a couple before and after pictures I found. Everybody knows Germany won that. Well, not everybody. Hold on, let me pull this picture up I took this morning. Here it is. I took this picture this morning. Now tell me people haven't seen architecture like this. See the building across the street with the two domes? And in person, obviously, the camera pushes everything back. But those two domes, you could tell they had fixtures on there to pull energy. Where did I leave off? Oh, okay. Right here. Boop. fucking landlord people are working and right on my wall. They're banging in the hallway. Now, I don't think this is a real picture. I think it's like a drawing or an overlay, but these buildings are real. Here's a before. Oh no, there's 1945, which means the war probably ended, and then to 1990s. Personally, I think it looked, well, shit. Obviously, it looks better than that, but I have pictures of before the war and after the war. And before the war looked so much better. After the war, these buildings look like shit. Look like a bunch of fucking outhouses. I'm about to smack these workers, man. They're so loud and disrespectful. They're on the phone yelling in my hallway. That's the problem today is people don't have respect, man. Back in the days, an elder would smack you in your fucking head if you acted up. And I think that's what today is missing. Just talk to the person. Yeah, well, sometimes a smack will set someone straight. Yeah. Somebody bought this building. I told the workers yesterday, I said, you guys are crazy. I said, tell your boss he just got screwed. He bought a complete shithole. I said, every year since I've lived here, there's been leaks in the walls because there's mice and they chew the pipes. 2, the lady next door, I remember she was banging on my door. Boom, boom. And I'm like, what the fuck? I opened the door. She goes, you got the landlord's number? There's a leak in my, and she let me look in her apartment and the fucking water was pouring out of the wall like a river. I was like, man. Plus many other things. I mean, the landlord never fixed anything. This building could be so nice if they weren't slumlords. And I don't even know how some of these apartments are like state funded. And it just blows my mind how the inspector walks in and walks right out. Not even a minute they were here, because my roommate has state funding, I guess, and they walk in, look, and walk out. They don't care. You know, you could tell them whatever, man. It's sad. He held your head in a wheelbarrow. That's crazy. I would have flipped out, even if I got beat up. This building is awesome. So is this one. Now, there's one behind it exactly the same. Well, not exactly the same. Yeah, probably. But, you know, it makes me think about churches too, for the fact that there's so many churches in the city I live in. On one corner, there's 1, 2, 3 churches. They're all old brick. And it makes me think, because the city I live in used to be the hardware city of the world. Maybe most of them were power stations to power the factories and shit. Now, I showed this picture yesterday, but it didn't show this thing. Now, it makes me wonder, what is that thing? Because it's in water. And it's not flooded. No, these people are loud. It's really getting me upset. are they talking to? Me or the phone? I like how they probably added this in later, maybe. How they raised the road to go up to the door. Who knows? But look how wide the roads are. And then in the center of the roads, they got lamps, if you could see them. Huh. Here's a before and after. Well, kind of a before and after. This is the picture. It shows before the war, and then when the war ended. I mean, they didn't save anything except the entrance to that city or whatever that is. Man, they mollywopped it all. I'm gonna pull a map up. I'm gonna download it of what cities were bombed in Germany. They didn't leave one city. Every single one was leveled, and you know they had to create a war for an excuse. They couldn't just say, "Oh, well, we're gonna level," because people would have been asking too many questions. I mean, even the bridges, the lamps, the artwork and railings. I mean, it just it brightens you up, right? Compared to the architecture today, it's just lame. It's like prison like. It's sad. It's just there's no, it doesn't even look like anyone put any work in. And I didn't, let me rephrase that. It's like no, it's like prison like. There's no detail in any of the, like a bridge today is just, they put up those metal things that curve up so no one jumps off them. There's no detail. One bridge, I think I showed, and I have pictures of, in the city I live in, they've spent $1 million on this bridge to make it look like a beehive. You know, $1 million. Like, dude, they were ripping the city off. Ain't no damn $1 million. I think I got a picture of it and I'll show. I think this might be, this is Berlin, Germany. I'm just going to show these pictures and then that's it. I'm not going to bore people with pictures today. Man, these people are loud. I think you guys can hear them. I'm about to open my door and ask them, what's your problem? Trying to have a live stream here. Has anyone ever heard of respect? And then they'll get loud with me, and then I have no choice but to get loud back. And then they will call the cops, because that's how people do. They'll start a problem and then call the police, because that's how weak they are. I don't like people like that. I call the police. I bootlick. This is a nice building right here. Der Dom. Der Dom. Dom, did you build this, Dominic? It says Der Dom on it. But yeah, I'm gonna see when this building was built. It's in Hartford, Connecticut. Yeah, no creativity. That's what I wanted to say too. A concreter. That's hard work, concrete. I mean, after doing it a while, anything becomes easy when you master your craft. But concrete work, yo, I'm about to punch this dude. They're fixing something on a door frame. A little piece of wood. He's been hammering that bitch for 20 minutes. Probably no, the last hour. If I show you the little piece of wood, you'd be like, how is he banging still? I think they're doing it on purpose. Rookies. Sheetrock. See, I started doing sheetrock in the 90s, like 98 when I was like 17, 18. And a lot of bosses were cheap. They ain't renting no machines. And if you did a lot of 3-story buildings, 6 apartments, you got to carry that sheetrock up. And that's a bitch. And the same thing with concrete. I've done cement work. I remember I did I don't know what to call it. This person owned a house, and in the backyard they wanted like a peace, Marcel. They wanted a I don't know what to call it, like a thing to put their cooking on. It was like not a deck, but dude, a piece of fucking cement, man. They wanted I don't know how big it was. It was pretty big. Somewhere to put their grill and put a table. But anyway, I had to carry all the cement bags, which are heavy, tons of cement bags. We had to dig out all the grass and all the area and then mix the cement by hand. 2-day job. And at that point I respected old school cement workers. Because if you're a lot of shit you do by hand, you know, I mean, you can call a truck, but not for the work we did. I mean, you probably could have, but sheetrock. I learned how to not patch. Well, you have to patch too, but to tape. And the guy learned from his French, and he walked on stilts. This dude was a beast. He had all the he had this lift, because I've done sheetrock before, and I never seen a sheetrock lift that lifts the sheetrock up to the fucking ceiling. I would always have to put a plank, and we would walk on it and hold that sheetrock up while someone screws. And people be like, oh, it's easy. Yeah, okay. Depending on if you got, I forgot what it's called, the 3/4 or something. The thick sheetrock's heavy. But the dude was taping on them stilts. It was amazing to watch him. He was quick. He would put the tape thing. He had a tube, like a belt, and he had this thing on his belt like a hook, and he would have the tape on it, and just, it was crazy, man. He would walk on the stilts, and the tape would unwind from the side, and he was just taping. I mean, it was so fast. All the bosses I ever had, like roofing, I started at the bottom of the house, cleaning up everything and carrying up shingles. Then I moved up to ripping the roofs off, and then I never went, well, I would go back on the ground to help sometimes, but I stayed on the roof. the fucked up part was the guy didn't want to teach me to put shingles on, and he was honest. He said, because you're going to learn and then you could go off on your own. And I was like, in my mind, I was thinking, that's shiesty. You know, I thought that's what teaching somebody was about, but a lot of people don't want to fully teach. I guess they feel like they're being used, but that's all right, because I learned from paying attention. And believe it or not, putting shingles on is not that hard. Shit. Even framing. The hardest part of framing was reading the fucking blueprints. You know, I'm the type where while everyone else is fucking off, I'm asking the boss or the teacher, because I learned carpentry through this program. And that's how I got my lead abatement and asbestos license from the state. It's $500 just to take the test. I've showed this before. It's old. 2004. State of Connecticut Department of Health. But I did we demoed the 6-family apartment building and turned it into a 3-family building. And we demoed everything. It was an old brick building. And then we had to reframe everything. It was fun. But while everyone else was fucking off, I was paying attention and asking questions. And my teacher said, we got paid to go to this school too, which is not a lot, but I made like $200 a week to go to school, learn, and get a little bit of pay. But yeah, the teacher said, you know, he's seen that I was serious about, you know, the work and wanted to learn. But that's how I am. When I'm doing something, I want to master it. I just don't want to fuck around. And I always want to be the best at what I do. Siding, I did that a couple times. Siding's pretty cool. Especially if you get a house with aluminum, and you get and the people don't know about bringing them. You know, you could get a good amount of aluminum and even copper when you're doing roof siding. I mean, and roofs. You know, around the chimney they have that copper piece they put. Let me tell you something. One time I was doing a job like that, and around the chimney we had to rip all that out and fix it because there was a leak. And man, a piece of copper the guy was working with got. I mean, it was heavy and thick. I was like, man. Yeah, and siding too. You can make some good money on siding. You know what's crazy, Maggot, about cement and shit nowadays? They have this new cement. No, I don't think it's lead. I know that it was excuse me, copper. It's just a piece. I forgot why they had copper there. Anyway, there's the cement that you put dry. Remember I showed the video of in Canada, that whole wall that opened up and you could see the rebarb and all the dry fucking cement. That's what it looked like they used. And you just pour water on it. Not pour, how the hell did they do it? Yeah, they put the cement and then the guy poured, like, the new way people do things, man. Like my grandpa used to say, man, anything back in the days was built to last. That's what I think about the old world. It's built to last. It's creative. It's something to look at. You could tell when people or whoever built that were building it to last, and it's almost like reading a book looking at the old architecture. Nowadays, everything's like prison-like. It's bland. There's no art or creativity going into it. It's just a bunch of fucking metal and wood being thrown together, cement. The skyscrapers, people be amazed, but when I went to New York City for the first time, it was just boring. It's like the buildings are just a bunch of metal and glass. There's no, like, I don't know, at least to me. Um, yeah, mass production, everything's made, and they make it nowadays to break because they want you to come buy more. And that's sad, man. Like, I don't know. We live in a pretty large prison with no bars, and it's just instead of making stuff to last, they make it cheap, and now you got more garbage, more landfills, more waste of everything. America. People waste so much shit. They don't know how it is to struggle with these newer generations. Now, I'm glad I grew up in a poor environment with nothing most of the time. The last 2 weeks of the month were hell. And even when my mom had food stamps in the first 2 weeks, it was still hell. I didn't eat like the other, my friends. Some of my friends had parents who worked. So my mother worked too until I was, I think, 7. But anyway, the point is, when we get old, it's gonna suck. Imagine being old and you got these newer generations taking care of us. Oh my God, we're in for a ride. So you getting that garden ready, Marcel? About April, end of March. It'd still be a little cold, but maybe by the end of April, you could start germinating now, right? Getting everything ready. Like a lot of these preppers, right? They think, oh, we'll make it. We'll just stock food. We'll have weapons. We'll grow our own food, and we'll make it. But they forget it would get gruesome. Even though you don't want to kill nobody, I guarantee you'll have to. People are going to be coming for your food and your weapons, and they ain't going to ask. Your life will definitely be on the line. I don't want to kill nobody. Anyone could shoot a gun, like I said yesterday. But when it's that hand-to-hand combat and you're sticking a knife in someone, it's another ball game. It's vicious. It's brutal. To fuck you up. I always speak from experience. None of that. I don't want to do none of that. Hurting people isn't the way. LED lights and microgreen. What's a LED light? Stay the fuck away from me. That's another thing about Americans, man. Some of them. Their parents spend their not entire life, but raising and taking care of the child. And what does the child do in return to pay him back? Throw him in a fucking home. I respect Asia and Russia and a lot of them other countries. They don't have retirement homes or old homes. The family takes care of the family until they die. And that's awesome, man. I respect that. Oh, LED. I don't know why I said LED lights. LED, yeah. Um, and that's what I would do. To me, that's disrespectful. Cause I used to go to, my grandpa lived in the old folks' home, but it wasn't like a nursing home. Now I've been to nursing homes. My aunt broke her hip and was in one of them for a little while before she could go home. Terrible. Then I would go visit my friend's, I think it was his aunt. She was old, and all they would do is pharmakia her up, and all the old people would just sit in his room drooling, and you couldn't even conversate with these people. They were gone. And that's what the people do that work there. Get them up, sit them in a chair, pharmakia them up, and their life is wasted in a way. Terrible, man. And it hurt me to go there and see him like that. And I'm like, I would just sit there while he's visiting his aunt, and I would think, man, I would rather die than be in one of those places. Marcel,
Hey,
how you doing?
well, good. It's relaxing. I heard you talking about the retirement homes, and
Yeah.
I worked there for a while, for a few years, and that's true. People just sit in the room all day, and it's pretty sad. Most of the time, the family that they have, and the children that they have, they live on the other side of the country, and they don't even have the decency to visit their parents once in a week or once in 2 weeks. They just sit there all year. And yeah, and I totally agree with what you're saying. I could never do that to my parents, and that's why I will not move from here. My parents live here in the neighborhood, so they are getting older as well, and I rather, if they wanted me to do that, I would rather take care of my parents than go my own way. And years back, it was what was the same here. Families took care of their elders, you know, the way it's supposed to be. But we have a society now. Everybody's busy with their jobs and all that, and they basically drop their children in a center, and their parents in a
Horrible.
retirement home, and as long as they can make money. And that you always hear people say, "Oh, I don't have the time." No, you have to make time, but people are ignorant and selfish. You know.
Peace, Will I am. Yeah, and you see a lot of rich families too that do that. And it's like, dude, you got all this money, you can't have your parents in one of your, they got like $1 million homes and shit. You can't hire a nurse to come there and let your freaking
Yeah,
family be free and die
yeah.
in fucking
Like you said,
dignity.
your parents, they raised you. They did everything for you. Yeah? They basically uh, gave up their own life to raise you, basically. And then you're older, and they are just dropping their parents in a retirement home. I think, yeah, it's really really sad. But
Yeah, I think about I don't know. I was fucked up when I was younger, thinking I know it all. And then when my mother was sick, you start to think about all the negative shit. So I'm pretty sure it eats people up when they dump their family into one of them places, or maybe it don't. But yeah, those places are terrible. Not all of them, but most of them.
Yeah, like you said, I really would like to see that back here again. Like families in Mexico and Russia and the Mediterranean. They still take care of their elders, and the Middle East and all that. And that's something that's in my core as well. I could never leave my family like that. Never.
It's terrible. But what can we do? Peace, Deion Sandals.
I can't
I
stay
need,
long on my phone because my phone is almost empty. I like 20% left. So I don't know when it's gonna quit on me, but I'll stay here till then.
you ever been to Germany?
Yeah, not way back in Germany, not in the core of the country, but I live near the German border. So yeah,
Oh, it died. Right in the middle of him speaking. So much for that. Alright. Damn it. I wish I could share my fucking page. What? That's weird. Someone like took this picture and tried to like blend in the before and after. That's pretty weird. I know I had more pictures. I don't know. I gotta find that map I want to show. Um, yeah, he has dementia, maggot. I get it. Some people need to be in there because people don't have a lot of money and they need medical help. I get it, but a lot of people would just throw their family in there because you know they say I don't have time and I don't know. I'm not trying to down nobody, but me personally, I don't like those places. Face plant. Good day, felons. Oh yeah. Bex. Bex came on time today. You are not late for class. I want to find this map right here of. I remember seeing like this map, and it showed all the cities that were destroyed. I mean, the whole entire fucking country, man. They didn't miss a city. I don't want to say it's mind blowing because, yo, what's going on here? X the Most High, peace. Or wait, I always forget the last part. X the Most High Techniquer. Yeah, cut off, Marcel, right when you were saying it. I was like, up. There it goes.
Yeah, phone dropped off, not right?
Yeah, it cut off right when you started speaking. It was like, boop.
Yeah, I'm on my PC now, so now it should be fine.
Let's see. Trying to find this map that shows all the cities that were bombed in the war. I should have downloaded the one that I seen that time. I don't know why I didn't. Is this a good one? Let me see. Damn, I know this ain't one. I don't know. Bex is in the house. Let's see.
Now I have some. I bought some cabinets last week, and first I wanted to build them myself with wood and all that, but because it's also expensive nowadays, wood and
Oh
material.
yeah.
I saw like those aluminium cabinets, you know, they were cheap, and there was 1 + 1 for free. So you basically had two for the price of one. So I bought those. I bought four, and I can build my LED lights in there. So I have the grow area ready. So I almost finished building that. And yeah, in a few weeks or next month, I will start putting seedlings in little containers and make my microgreens. So yeah, that's a project that's in development.
That's good. It keeps you busy too.
Yeah, and healthy food that you make yourself, you know, at home, so you don't have to go to the store all the time. Yeah, and like you said, it's like a hobby, and you're being busy. You don't have to think about all the bullshit around you. Just stay focused on positive things, you know.
That was part of my recovery.
Hmm.
What? That was part of my problem. You know, they said I had ADHD. I just had a lot of energy. I was a fully charged battery. And staying busy, you know, keeping me from
Yeah.
boredom. I get bored quick. Um so staying busy is a big part.
Well, I was never really bored, but more put on a sidetrack by society because of my limitations, right? So you feel used and abused, like we probably all felt in life at one point. But yeah, when you realize that nobody's gonna take care of you, but you have to do it, that's when you start focusing on the things that matter, and you know, That took time for me. I was really down for quite a few years just because I realized how this world really was. That that they didn't really care about most people. It's you're just a slave of the system. So
It's
yeah,
depressing.
yeah, it's good to focus on the positive things that you can realize in life, and so that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeti Life, Baba's Rainbow Shaman, peace.
Those are I haven't seen those names before.
Yeah,
Yeti,
Yeti Life comes in here a
yeah,
lot.
yeah, Yeti Live I've seen, but Baba's Rainbow I don't recognize.
Yeah, he's been here a few times. Or she, I don't know. And
Okay.
Sunshine Time, peace. Yeah, I've have a lot of like newer people coming lately, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. The more the better.
It's a good thing to find like-minded people, even if you don't agree with everything.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I do think that this is gonna make a big difference in from now and into the coming days. People connecting more and more online, and more people realizing what is or what was really going on in this world. And yeah, we can all uh, give what we can. And it's good to uh, communicate with each other to make plans and uh, yeah, plans for the future basically. And it starts really small. In most cases, in my cases, it was the same. I started with just a few grow pots. Just not even a garden, just a few. What you but you put big plants in. I don't know how you call those containers. That's how I started small, and yeah, everything starts small, but it can turn out like in quite a hobby or work even. I don't call it work, but yeah, it does. Yeah, do have to do some some things to realize those fruits and vegetables. But yeah, I don't see it as work. I just like and you already know that I love walking barefoot in my garden, and people can call me insane, but it doesn't really hurt me anymore.
It's uh it's a good thing, man. You're like grounding and connecting with your garden. Damn, why I can't find a good freaking map that shows. I should have downloaded the one that I had seen that day. Fuck. It literally showed a bomb on damn near every freaking city and town. Is that me or you're going in and out? Hold on. Is that me?
No, I didn't notice anything. I'm still here.
Say something now.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You cannot hear me?
Now I hear you, yeah.
Okay.
Think it was my headphones. Peace, Joe King. Well, anyway, I got a few maps. I'm gonna pull them up here.
Hmm.
Ouch. Let's see. Man, Man, I want a house to look like one of these buildings, man. It'd be dope.
I saw a picture for a moment. Now it's gone.
Let's go. All right. Well, I found this map. This is one of them. If it'll ever come up sometime today.
And this depicts the World War
Take
II
that.
scenario.
Yeah. The yellow with no lines is supposed to be that this is Axis 1939. And then the yellow with the green lines like Poland, Romania, Bulgaria. It says Axis controlled 1941. France.
Yeah.
The green is the Allies and the purple is the neutral. And then the red arrows are the Axis advance. What's Axis? That's what I want to know.
The Axis were Germany and Italy. And the Allies, well, you know what the Allies were. Were the British, the Americans, and eventually the Soviet Union.
You know, all these old Germans say the man with the mustache was loved. You know,
He was.
You know,
Yeah.
huh?
He was loved. You know.
And they pay. You know, I don't know. It just. I have a lot of opinions on that whole situation there. And it makes me wonder about the JEWs. And you know, probably some of them were. It's war. Probably some of them were. But they never talk about what, you know, they do now. They damn near control the whole world. And
Yeah, but even the Second World War, what I read in the books and in the documentaries that I saw, I now realize that there's a lot of more information that I didn't know when I was younger, when I read all those books and saw those documentaries, because the things that I realize now is that they lied a lot about the Second World War as well, and the fact that Hitler tried to make peace with Churchill, like maybe 10 plus times even.
call him the man with the mustache, because I don't know. People say that that's a word that they pick up on.
The man with the mustache, but Churchill refused to make peace with Germany.
Wasn't he in a wheelchair, Churchill?
No, not in that time period.
Oh, that was the other guy.
Roosevelt.
Yeah, Roosevelt.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is because of all the how do you call those like what they do with Russia now, they're boycotting Russian products and all that. That's what they did with Germany for a long time, and the people in Germany were starving, and basically the man with the mustache decided enough is enough, and we are gonna kick out the Rothschilds out of our country. So they closed all the bankers that were linked to the Rothschilds and all those evil fuckers. And in that short time period, Germany became a superpower again. And like I said, the man with the mustache tried to make peace more than once. I think it was 7 or 8 times even. And they time and time refused. So he had no other choice to do what he did. And that's not I'm not going to say that that was the right thing to do, but from the side looking it from the Germans' eyes, it was the only thing they could do. So at least that's how I see it. I think the Netherlands would probably do the same thing if they got boycotted by other countries. Because what are you gonna do? Do you want to starve or do you want to, you know? It's as simple as that. If it comes to it, you will defend and take care of your family any way you know how. And so yeah, what I'm trying to say, it's not the fault of Germany alone. It's the countries that boycotted and made Germany
They
fall.
wanted the power of Germany, you know. They wanted the technology, and
Yeah,
they knew that they were a stronghold.
yeah,
But
but what I'm trying to say, the Rothschilds were kicked out of Germany, and so
good.
they didn't have interest anymore. Those banks, so the people uh, kept their money, and they could grow and they could advance in life, and that's the whole scenario worldwide now. Those bankers are the problem. You know, they want interest, which is insane because it's our money in the first place. You know, they just speculate with our money and steal it by asking interest and all that.
And I know Germany beat the heck out of Rome. They were the only ones that could beat Rome. Yolanda says, in your opinion, Charles and Marcel, who defeated the Tartarian kingdom? Russia? No, I don't know. I haven't looked into that deeply.
I don't know, but I think it was a sort of the same scenario as in the Second World War.
Yeah, Russia and Tartaria have the same symbols in Rome. They have that double-headed bird looking to left and right.
Yeah, it's always about resources and power, and I think it's the same thing happened with Tataria. Tataria was advanced or took good care of its people, and other countries were jealous and they wanted their resources, something like that. You know, that's my guess.
This world has been turned to shit. But here's the best one I could find. 1939. Germany was pristine. Powerhouse. Beautiful country. 1940, it begins. 41, 42, and then you get to 1939 to 45. They put them all. Look at that. The whole country was leveled.
Yeah.
Talk about demolition.
Yeah, and they always say the man with the mustache is the bad guy, but remember who started the bombing of cities with only civilians in them.
That's the real name of the country right here. Right?
It wasn't the Germans that started bombing cities. That's what I wanted to say. So who's the real bad guy?
France. They're the ones who started poking the bear. France. And then they realized, you know, if the U.S. didn't step in, Germany would have easily handled the entire Europe, would have flattened them, which they did. And Germany didn't start the problem. The other countries wanted his technology or their technology. But as far as them leveling all the old architecture, they're probably hiding free energy. You know, who knows what truly, you know, who knows how they were infiltrated. Because you could see that Germany was easily holding their own, and they had to be infiltrated. That's how it always works. It's always somebody in the inside they infiltrate.
Yeah, but the bankers were the problem in Germany because they were asking so much interest, just like
Let me guess.
just like the same it is today. But the countries who haven't or who don't have
Wait, the bankers were foreign? Were they foreign or were they German?
The Rothschilds were one of the families, the evil families. Let's call it evil families.
I thought they would have been JEW, you know, the bankers. you know, because they cry a lot, the JWs, but no one exposes what they do to other people, poisoning them, and then somehow they got the Germans to whitewash the papers to come over and work with the JEWs. So what's the truth? You know, they talk all that junk about German people, but yet they brought them over here to do their scientific work. You know,
It's divide and conquer. It's always been divide
yeah.
and conquer. They try to blame somebody, and the real guilty people are never really seen. Basically, they are always in the background, you know. And the
What
rest
is
are just puppets that react on what already happened, you know. Yeah.
what does this say in the title here, Marcel? Because we all know that's the real name, Deutschland of Germany.
You mean the big letters above?
Yeah, here it says
It
Deutschland.
says eine Woche über Deutschland, which means 1 week above Germany. So those were the basically the air carpet bombings or something like that, I think. So all the big cities were hit. Those were the flight routes, basically, of the bombers. I guess, yeah. Seit einer Woche kein deutsches Verführungsführer auf England mehr.
That's why I couldn't trace my roots back, because Germany, and then when I learned that it's Deutschland, now I gotta retrace my roots, because I'm pretty sure they go back far in Germany. My grandma, because I used to ask my gramps, why don't we go visit? Because I used to be jealous that a lot of the Polish kids would go to Poland on vacations and stuff when school was out. And I would ask my gramp, you know, do we still have family over there? And he'd say, yeah. And I would say, well, why don't we go visit them? You know, my great grandparents gave up everything to come here just to be tricked. To probably end up in a worse condition than they were in Germany. But if they stayed, they would have still had to go head to head with that war. So,
yeah, well, the German people, and not only the Germans, but and we are talking about the Second World War now, but especially the German people, they had it very, very bad in that period, because first the Allies bombed the shit out of them and killed a lot of them, and after the Allies were gone, they had to deal with all the other troops moving into the country. So a lot of bad things happened then, you know. Yeah.
these are all the bombings right here.
We've been told.
Huh?
At least that's what we've been told. And if those wars really happened, a lot of bad shit happened to the people living there. Absolutely.
Yeah, but they don't teach that
No.
in the schools. You know, it's always focused on the JEWs, and they went through it all, and the German people are evil. And
Well, a good example is what's happening around Israel right now, you know, and we all know that they were not who they said they were, you know. So that's all I'm gonna say about that.
yeah, it is Bankster Wars, Dion, you're right. Alchemos 83 piece, he said Waz means wax. I don't know how true that is, but I know Charles in German is Karl, which means free man. My mother picked the right name for me.
Everything for a reason.
I was confused as a child when, you know, everyone would say, we're a free country. And then I would say, all right, well, let's go to France tomorrow. And they'd be like, you need a passport. And I'm like, what? I thought we were free, right?
Yeah, that's what I never understood as well. Yeah. So-called freedom.
The RZA had a song called Banksters, and he talked about all the bankers and shit. People say, you know, the government runs the world. No, they don't. The banks do. The money printers. And the U.S. effed up when they let foreign banks come in and print their money. But that was all by design. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if the so-called forefathers, right, of America came with the intentions for it to be what it is now, or it was infiltrated. Freedom means we must be dumb if we think we're free. It's why it's called freedom.
I think the biggest problem nowadays is that people still trust corporations and so-called authority figures and all that, but they are the problem because most of them just get paid by the evildoers themselves, so they will keep quiet and they fill their pockets, And meanwhile, everybody's got to suffer because of their, corruption.
I don't feel like flat Earth is a scam. X the Most High Techniquer. I think I don't label myself a flat earther no more, but I know we're not on the ball, and I showed the picture until you see an airplane go over the curve. But anyway, once you find out damn near everything's a lie, even religion, like people question, it just blows my mind how a lot of people question everything but the Bible or any religious books. The same people that give us the lies gave us the religion books. I try to tell people that, but people call me dumb and shit. Like, I'm talking about people I speak to off of here.
Yeah, well, like everything, you need to filter everything. There are good things in there as well, but you
Yeah.
don't have
I
to.
agree with that.
You don't have to believe everything. Just need to pick up what's to be true, what you've experienced yourself. And the rest you should just not touch. Until you know what it's about. Or what it doesn't mean. But yeah, that's why I try to focus more on the things that I can control, like my little greenhouse in my garden and the LED situation at home now. I try to focus as little as possible on all the stuff happening right now because I think I already did a lot, to create what is happening. I still talk about stuff, but I don't try to focus on it anymore because when I keep in this information sources too long, I just lose myself again. It's just you have to stay focused on the things you can control, and the rest is just
Shit.
I like the balance. I don't want to lose myself in everything anymore. Balance is everything for me, and that's already hard enough to stay around the balance stuff. For me, at least.
What am I missing in this picture? I put a cup of water, a puddle, a pond, a lake, and the ocean. Water always looks to level out, except for the heliocentric ball. Yeah, I'm not missing anything. And then oh my god.
Yeah, I really believe we don't have one sun, at least a few suns, and they are very close. They are not like 300 million miles away, like being said there.
Yeah. I had to let my nurse in. I mean, not my nurse, my roommate.
Well,
It's freezing over there,
yeah, it's cold.
Marcel? It's freezing out here.
Yeah, it's like I think it's a few below 0, 3.
Man, I think it's like 8 to 10 degrees here. It's so cold when you breathe in, it hurts your nose.
Oh,
You know, like when you breathe in, it's so cold. Like, oh, it's
Wow.
terrible.
it was colder here a few days back, but it's still pretty cold. But they were saying that the snow and the ice is gonna melt in the coming few days, so it's gonna be a little bit warmer.
And I like this picture I made because it shows the heat on the water, which can only be done by local light, like this one.
Hmm.
You see the car with the lights on the water of the street, just like the sun going over the water, the ocean. And see how they show this with the circle. I know it's just for an example, but they always forget the analemma. But it boats, planes, it shows all their destinations and everything. Like a lot of people that talk about the globe say, well, how come none of these ships or planes see any of these lands? Or because they're all on set. That's like, how can I put it? They're all, tracked. They're on the computer does all the, they don't wander off their path.
Yeah, and the stuff that Divergent mentions as well, that they only focus on the continents that are known to us, So there's a lot more out there, and they are just they are just showing us what we are allowed to know, It's yeah. There's a lot.
I like this one. I got these from Divergent. Well, this one I screenshotted. These ones I made myself. These ones. This one I made myself. As well as this one. But this I screenshotted from Divergent. Went to the moon, took 5 photos. Went to the bathroom, took 192 photos. And like this one, Globe's logic. Since what we observe is spherical, then the Earth is also spherical. You put I just like how they use the pool table as the Earth and then the balls in the sky. And this is what I was talking about, Tartaria.
Yeah.
Tartaria had a Gretchen, but I've also seen, I don't know if it was cities or Tartaria also used this bird at some point. Same thing with Rome, Russia, and the Rothschilds.
Yeah, they say it depicts the phoenix or the toroidal field, the two-headed bird.
The sun and the moon. I was thinking, like, how the bird, it has the crown up above, which would be like Polaris.
Mm-hmm.
And then it splices down the middle. It's like they know it's one bird, one source, but they splice it. Like the sun would be to the left and the moon to the right. It's coming from the one source because the bird is one, but I don't know. That's my theory.
Yeah, the magnetic toroidal fields, I think they depict.
I was near the ocean the other day and I got this picture, Marcel. I actually found a plane going over the curve. I had to snap that picture.
Well, he's sleeping with the fishes now.
Let's see the chat. 34 comments I missed. Hold on. What's going on in here? Pledging allegiance to a corporation. Yeah. When did they take that out of the school? I used to hate that shit in the morning. Standing up, putting your hand over your heart, casting spells. I pledge allegiance to no flag.
Charles, did you hear about it as well? I was on Telegram this morning, and somebody sent me an article about that. I think it was Trump said that he had information that the 9/11
was an inside job.
Yeah, that they basically were clones, and they weren't even real Arabs. They were clones from the cloning center. And I don't know. I cannot verify this.
What? Wait, what was from the cloning center?
Those people that allegedly
That's wild.
Rode the planes into the buildings, but something like that.
I think my theory
information about that.
The planes didn't even exist. That's my theory.
Yeah, mine as well. But
yeah, Trump also said on the interview a couple of things. He said, "Look at the Middle East. They've been disarmed." He goes, "They were better off when Saddam was in power." And he's like, "I'm not backing up Saddam, but I'm just speaking the truth." He goes, everyone, you know, not everyone, but he goes, people blame Saddam. He goes, look at our country. Is our country so innocent? I like Trump for saying that shit now.
Yeah, and if you look back, Gaddafi, he was a good leader for that country and the region there, because he was developing a situation there that everybody could take care of themselves, and he basically stimulated people to do certain stuff, so they got money and all that, and that was a thorn in America's eyes, so they bombed the shit out of that project that he was working on, and basically he gave his life in the end. You know, it's and the same with a lot of other countries in the Middle East. You know, they were trying to get rid of the petrol stuff and all that, and you know, the war situation, and the bankers didn't like that, so they basically did what they did. You know, and it's highly visible to everybody who's paying attention now. So
and Trump also said, if you want to know what happened on that September situation, ask George Bush. Whoa, I almost fell off my seat when he said that. But remember his father's funeral? Did you see that? When Trump was there, when they served the papers to the Obamas, to Bush and his brother Bush, and who else? Biden. They were all served papers. And I think Obama played, what's his name?
Osama bin Laden.
Yeah, me and damn man, I can't even think this morning. I'm still drinking my coffee. I can't even think of his name. And he came yesterday. He barely comes to
Gabriel.
No, not Gabriel. Can't even think of his name. Anyway, it'll come to me. Peace, Jay Hyten.
Yeah, like the situation in the Middle East now, you know, Israel and all that. There's a war between Israelis. You know, you get the Zionists and the true people, basically. The Zionists are the bastards, and this is happening worldwide in every country. You have like civil wars everywhere right now. You know, people are asking questions, and they're realizing that they are fighting for the wrong team basically because they were kept in the dark. So I think a lot of things will happen in a very short time period, the coming few months. That's my guess.
There's me and I can't still think of his name. Oh, the realist McCoy. We were aligning pictures of Osama and Obama, and the same hand gestures, the same, like, these are all actors. Like, if you look at a lot of the war clips on the news from the Middle East, they started using the same tactics with the war that's going on now, and I could see right through it. And I'm starting to think, are these wars even real, or are they a show put on to annihilate people? And
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think a lot of is theater of war, as they call it. It's fake. It's
and they were
orchestrated.
demolishing the cities and shit.
Yeah, but real people die. And so
Mhm.
it isn't just a theater. It's for them it's just a big joke. But for us it's like suffering. But they don't care about us. We already knew that. You know.
Truthers Anonymous must have another meeting. I don't trust the government as far as I could see them. I never did and probably never will. Just like the police. Yeah, there's good officers out there, but they're totally outnumbered. And when it counts, when I watch these tyrants step all over people and tell old people to sit on the ground like a dog, and they're always talking about, well, we don't know if you have weapons. You scared little, go get another job.
Yeah,
Oh, it's like,
they're just doing their job.
yeah,
Not
well,
realizing that they're the problem, because when they stand up and they say, fuck this shit, we're not going to do this, it's over. It's as simple as that. But they continue to do their job. Fuck them.
yeah, they're at war against the people. They
Yeah.
don't care about the Constitution or oath. It's a war. They want to, you know, they sit there when people could legally carry, and they put them through hell. Lay them on the ground, take their weapons, unload the weapons, put them in handcuffs. We don't trust you, and it's like, dude, no wonder no one likes the police. Oh, we're just doing our job, like you said. Like, it's getting old, and this word suspicion comes up a lot now. You look suspicious. Let me see your ID, and if you stand your ground, then you're even more suspicious. They manipulate. They take what you do and twist it.
The only
And it's just old, man.
the only defense those people really have is the gun they hide behind.
Yep.
Because when they don't have those guns, it's over in no time. No time.
Yeah, all police start out to.
They are basically just a scared little kid, that want to play boss, Mr. Boss.
I don't think all police, Jay Heighton, start off as good, because there's a lot of criminal minds, but I think the ones that do start off good end up getting brainwashed and tricked or blackmailed into, their brotherhood. Look at New York City. They pull up on people 20 deep and jump out of vans and just start frisking people. Anyone that's on that corner, it don't matter if you're going in the store or not. They snatch you up and start searching you. Like, is this America? Or when they militarized the police, I knew something was up.
Mm-hmm. My personal opinion is, in my experience, I have to tell, is that people that are honest and want to change the world for the good don't get those positions. And that's the way this system works. I've experienced it firsthand in jobs and all that. I had skills, but I never got those positions. And I know why now. Because they want people that they can manipulate and pay off and all that and keep their mouth shut. And I'm not like that, and that's why I never got those positions. And I think it's the same for a lot of honest people.
Here we
So
go
yeah,
again.
I don't trust this system anymore, not one bit. And that's sad by itself to say that out loud, you know.
Yeah, they did it to themselves though. So
Hmm.
the hell? Trying
Well,
to check.
look what Alchemo 3083 says.
Alchemo 80. Alchemos, yeah. Hold on.
Amirorka. Amirorka.
A mirror. A mirror of bullshit. Hold on. Trying to see why it didn't put my stuff through, man. Like, what the fuck? Because Deion Sanders said, yeah, it didn't put what he said. Fraternal Order of Police, and I typed Fraternal Order of Parasites, FOP, and it didn't type it. It wouldn't go through. Let's try it again. See, it's not letting it go through, yo. Like, are you kidding me? Hold on.
There was a situation a few days ago here in a small village near where I live, and people bought a house from somebody else, and they basically got arguments. I think it was about renovation stuff. They said that that didn't happen. That the house basically had shortcomings and all that. But somebody said no, we fixed it all. And but they basically terrorized that man that sold his house, sold the house to them, and it was a good house. And but the police refused to take him serious because for whatever reason, you know, we can all figure out what reason, you know, it's not their agenda. But that man was a good man. You heard from neighbors, but he basically
Wow.
didn't get the help from like the police and other people. And that man went insane and basically killed those two people which he sold the house to. And that's a good uh, uh, that's a good example for a failing so-called uh, system. You know, that man was a good man, everybody said, and he was getting mad and he didn't get the help that he needed, so he did this. And well, to do that, there's something a lot of shit has to happen before you do something like that. So that's a good example for a failing uh, system, and that's basically what we have. You know, a corrupt system that doesn't really care about people.
All right.
Let's be honest.
Alchemos 83. Yeah, I put yo in peace because I was just testing to see if it would when I put peace, it only went through one channel because I got two channels I'm live on. Then when I put yo, it went to both. Like, they're screwing with me or something. Oh well. Yeah, the system's just so corrupt. The only way to defeat them is to walk away, and picture that happening. the U.S. is so comfortable and materialized that, you know, it's all these rappers talk about is money. Get in the bag, get in the bag. Do whatever you got to do to get that bag. Screw what everyone thinks, right? Doggy dog world. All that self-destructive mind state they brainwashed the youth with. And they had me going as a youth. But the thing I respect about the old hip hop is they put knowledge and wisdom in there. It wasn't just all about smoking the dead people and shooting this and fuck this and that. You know, they had stuff in there that could elevate your mind. And that's why I always love Wu-Tang Clan and
Mm.
KRS-One and Rakim and
Yeah,
Gangstar.
I think
But
we're never going to leave the system completely, but we definitely need to replace certain areas in this society because it's rotten to the core, you know.
you know, I the only time no one wants to go to war. Like I said, I'm playing defense. If it comes down to protecting myself, then there's no choice. I have to turn that switch off and become numb. But other than that, war ain't the answer. No one ever wins in war. Both sides are left scarred. And the best, like I said, the best way to win is to walk away, and you'll watch their system collapse because their money's everything to them.
Mhm.
And power. And when you walk away, they lose the control over you. And
Yep.
you know, people, walking away ain't going to be easy because then they're going to come after you. So you might have to protect yourself. So, but walking away is the best answer.
If they really want to start making a change in this wherever we are, then they need to start with closing every factory that manufactures explosives and war material. That would be a start, you know. And all the people that still believe, yeah, you only can, we need to defend ourselves. The people that we defend ourselves from are the ones that creating it in the first place, you know, the suffering, and they own those weapon factories and armies and banks and so-called justice systems. Yeah, sorry, I have to laugh because it's a total joke.
Oh, Deion Sandals. No, I never heard of them, but I am gonna look now. I'm gonna check them out. You know, I know in my rhymes sometimes, I try to plant a lot of seeds in my rhymes. Some rhymes might be all about talking against the system and all that, and once in a while I'll throw in some ignorant shit, but because I'm trying to draw in the youth. You know, you draw them in with the ignorant stuff, and they have no choice but to be fed some seeds. And through time, I don't have a big platform with music to where, like a lot of these newest rappers, because that's all they are is a rapper. They're not an MC. A lot of these rappers are molded to talk about what they're talking about. They rap other people's lives. They all talk about I sold bricks and this and that when they never did. But and to me that's phony. Hip hop's about, at least to me, my opinion, it's about actually having skills and rapping about or flowing about your life, a message, having a message and a meaning. Gold, Soul Theory, and Herb Shuttles. Write that down. Underachievers.
I think it's part of it. Rebecca. Rebecca says, "Is confusion the real enemy, or is resentment the real enemy?" I think it's a part.
People have their own opinions. They want to back the government. And that's fine. Some people think it's all bullshit made up. I don't. You know, when you got the rich that can get anything they want in life, they created the system. At least they didn't, but their forefathers did, their ancestors. They can get anything they want, and then they got the balls to sit there and triple the price on stuff. Because they're raising the prices on the farmers, so they have no choice but to raise the prices. You know, it's always the people at the bottom that made it so the people at the top can leech on us and suck all our earnings dry, just so we could barely get by. The system is just, it doesn't trickle from the top down. No, it gets sucked from the bottom up.
If
These people leech.
If everybody would have enough to have a decent life, they couldn't. They don't have power anymore, and that's why they keep
Right.
in poverty, or just enough so we can get by every month. And yeah, when you realize that is a few people that basically have everything, and they can basically with a clip with a finger clip, they can basically resolve everything that is going on right now in the world, and they don't. Yeah, then you know enough. At least then, for me, in my opinion, then you know how those people are. You know, they don't want peace. They don't want it.
Yeah. Doesn't impress me, you know, these rich people, their egos. You know who I am? Like, no. And who cares if you got $2 million or $1 billion and you got private planes and gold chains and
Well,
7 cars, and I don't give a fuck about none of that.
no, and the truth is, we don't even need that much. We just need enough to get by, but they basically steal that from us as well, you know. So yeah, are those people in my eyes? No, in my eyes, they are not people. They are monsters.
Yeah, what do you got to give up? You know, all these people that say you can make it if you just, yeah, I get it. You know, to eat like a king, you gotta work like a slave, they say. Well, I don't want to work like a slave. I already have. I started at 11 years old just to get a little bit of material stuff to go to school. And who wants to work like a slave? You don't eat like a king. We're taxed on everything. And then you know, allegedly our tax money goes to other countries. You know, it reminds me of the commercials with the African children. 30 years later, they're still broadcasting them commercials. They're still hungry over there. 30 years of donations, and they're starving. Just like 100 billion will go to that country, not Russia, the other one. And it's all for weapons. Or I think they're just saying they're giving the money to them and pocketing it. You know, these people never get enough money.
Well, the way I see it, when they have taxes on everything in our country as well, and they give away like 30 billion to the country, the Ukraine country, and all that. For me, that is a reason to say we pay too much tax, because nothing goes to the people in the Netherlands. So why are we paying for them?
Resenting the rich. I don't resent the rich, and I don't hate. You know, you think what you want, Bex, but
yeah, I don't agree.
You know,
with that.
they're out here murdering children and making people sick and doing. I'll never back those people. You know, if I dumped chemicals in the river, they would put me to death. But they can do it. You know, if the government does it, it's okay. You know, but they're a
Yeah.
bunch of hypocrites. The system is fucking destroyed.
After all those years, that food that went to Africa and wherever there was trouble, everything should be resolved already with all that money and all those aid that went there. But nothing came where it needed to be. You know, if it even ever went there. You know.
Yeah. If it did, they probably bought plastic rice from China and shipped it there.
Yeah. And that's why I keep it close, you know, close at home. You know, I've tried to have good contact with my neighbors and produce as many of my own food as possible. I think that will be the key to get at least a few steps further than we are now, you know.
All right, Bex, we're gonna debate. Come up here. No, I'm joking. I'm just joking, Bex. You have your opinions. Playing devil's advocate, but I want the best for everybody. You know, you know, the system could work, but can it? You know, I was thinking about this last night. I was like, can the system work? Because people's minds have been shattered, and the greed. You know, if it doesn't matter who you put in position. If they lived in this system, they still have that mindset. You know, when you give somebody power, it's just gonna happen, man. They're gonna corrupt it. It's just what it is.
Yeah, one sentence from the scriptures is very important to me, as to treat somebody else as you want to be treated, you know, and looking at the place where we are in, you know, whatever it is, to see so many people have everything and don't give a fuck about their neighbors or whatever, you know, that shows enough to me that there's something very, very wrong. Yeah, Akimo, I agree. You know how many times they changed things in the Bible, Mark Basket? A lot. And not
All
only the
right,
Bible.
I'm back. Well, sorry, Marcel. I didn't mean to cut you off. I had to walk away for a minute. Peace, Gabriel. Mark Basket. Species traders. The devil. Who's the devil? The Webble? The devil? That character in a book? More or less, we need to hold the people accountable that do evil deeds. I don't blame the devil, because everyone makes their own choices. And it's time we hold these people accountable. How many children do they kill before they even could see the day of light, the light of day, right? How many people, young women's minds, they corrupt to get them to think abortion's okay? And that's my opinion. It's all my opinion.
It's
Um,
been a constant war.
um, how much food, even though we buy the food, I get it. I could look at it from other angles too, because I have. Like I say, I'm my own worst critic. I look at things from every angle. So I'm the toughest on myself. Like I told Dom yesterday, people could be tough on me, but it ain't nothing. Cause I already done. I already. I'm so tough on myself that when other people say stuff, it's like that's it. That's all you got. But they poison the water and tell us it's for our own good. Because it's the problem solution. That's why I always say to create the problem, then deliver the solution. Profit off both ends while we fall for the illusion. And it's to the point, yeah, I talk about stuff a lot. I'd rather get it off my chest than let it bottle up and let it build anger. 'Cause that's not healthy. And
Exactly.
it's to the
What somebody else does with it doesn't really matter as long as you know if you have to do that, and you will uh, grow or restore from that outlet. I'm very thankful for like this medium and other mediums because I wrote and I sent all the messages that I did in the past just to get better myself, basically, feel better. For me, it's important to share stuff. And if somebody reads it or does not read it, it doesn't really matter. But for me, it's important, like you said, it's important to show how you feel and how you think about things. Because keeping it inside, no, that's very bad.
you know you know how I really learned the government was corrupt. One of the ways is when my mind was corrupted. I was corrupted as a youth. Um, some of the music I listened to would alter me in a way
Yeah,
where I did my evil deeds, selling drugs and being a fucking
we all,
whatever you want to call it. But
you,
when I got arrested for the same shit the government does, I realized, damn, the government's corrupt. You mean to tell me I'm gonna go to prison for the same shit the government does? I said, that's some hypocritical shit.
yeah, and that's the problem with those clubs, like the Freemasons, for instance, and which are many police officers in and judges and all that. When they do crimes, they help each other out. They will never get convicted. So the criminals get away with everything, which is the so-called justice system.
Like when you're renting an apartment, I know someone going through this issue right now. You sign a lease. You can't break that lease and just move out. You got to wait till your year's up. But someone could take over the property and break the lease for you and tell you got to leave. No matter if you pay the rent, no matter if you're a good person and you don't bother no one, they could come in and say, "Oh, you got to go." But they could break the lease, but you can't. It's bullshit. They should make it to where nobody could break that lease. Law, I used to say let's fight with law, but what's law? That you ain't gonna win. It's so corrupt.
It's a worldwide mob. Nothing more and nothing less. They're just criminals. Most of them. All key positions are compromised. Let's say that.
And what I wanted to say before, all these people who get to the top and they got their private jets, yeah, it all looks fine and dandy. It looks good. But what these people had to give up to get there, they don't talk about. They don't show that side, Oh, at nighttime, they're probably thinking about all the fucked up shit they had to do to get to where they're at, who they had to sell out. They sold out their self, most of all. That would eat me alive every day, being a piece of shit.
That would explain why a lot of them are using alcohol or other substances or whatever, because they want to get rid of that feeling, but they won't get rid of it as long as they continue to do evil. they will suffer the consequences in one way or another.
What's up, Chris and Bex?
Hey, before Bex goes, I just want to let you know I dropped a link in the back chat, just regarding what you were saying about the system being so corrupt, not being able to fight it legally. And there's people out there, I know you talked about James Freeman, and maybe some others that I don't recall at this time, but this channel that I shared I think is worthwhile if you ever want to just learn more about the system and basically how they game us, but you know, if they can game us in that way, you know,
Okay, I added.
I'm subbed.
universally, we can as well, technically.
I'm sub to that guy. That's cool. I'm gonna check him
Okay,
out more.
awesome. Yeah, I'll drop one more link here in the back, but y'all got it.
You know, and people like Trump and all these people who speak like they're on our side, that's part of the psychological warfare, man. That's how they draw you in like a snake, and then they strike. They want to build your trust and make it look like, you know, they desensitize people. You know, they talk about trafficking and all this other stuff that I really don't want to get into, but they talk about the war on this, the war on that to make it look good, but they're the ones, the war on drugs will use, but they're the ones bringing all the heavy stuff in, and then we pay the price to make it look like they're doing something about it. But in reality, they're doing, they get away with it while we pay the price.
It's known. I think it's in the States. It's the same, but here in the Netherlands, the Dutch armies, navy, and the air force bring in the drugs. So they are working close together with the criminal organizations, which is the government itself. And it's the same everywhere. You know, they blame Mexico or other countries. Oh, they bring in all those. No, they are shipping it in. Their own planes are bringing it in.
Right.
Into the country. Come on.
I watched something about that. I think it was in Colombia or something, or somewhere in South America, and they were showing how they make it. And when they showed the where the boats go from South America to Europe, I'm like, but how do they not get caught, right? How do they get by that whole long travel and they make it to like Europe and India and all these places, Australia, right, where they dump all this cocaine? Like, it's crazy, man.
Once in a while, they will catch like 500 kilos. And, whoa, big catch! But like Bex already shared, and other people as well, with all the tunnel systems, do you really think that the real big harvest is on the surface? Fuck no. It's coming in from underground. For sure.
The Underground Railroad. I showed the map yesterday of, you know, they try to make it seem like, oh, in the future we'll have trains that connect all the continents, but that's weird because I found the map in 2001. It looks like the newer map I found is an upgraded version of the older map. They added a lot of track systems. And if they're going under the ocean with these trains, that shows you the ocean ain't as deep as they're saying. Now, that Mariana Trench reminds me of like when they were mining this place, because that's what all the oceans could be, is mostly mined out. And they probably hit something in the abyss, the lower part, and it just started pouring water out. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? There's so much what we don't know, but we also do have discovered a lot of things. But the more we learn, the more we know nothing. At least,
yeah.
You know.
What's up, In the Groove?
What's up, man? I'm actually came up here. I forgot I was rinsed up, but I'm posting a link in the back chat here.
Oh.
And Charles, I know you'll watch this, dude. Watch this video and that whole spiel you talked about with the drug war.
Yeah.
And the elites, this is old. This is from the 90s. You watch this video, this is a documentary that was on VHS tape. You watch that, bro, and you'll have all that narrative figured out. And it'll explain everything, including this what they call the New World Order, which is a conspiracy, as we know, right?
Mhm.
I'm gonna post it in the regular chat too, but I gotta walk my dogs. I want to say hello to everybody, and Marcel's on it today. I agree with everything he's saying so far, and yeah, check that out, bro.
Yeah,
That's the whole
I-
story right there. Bush, Clinton, Mena, Arkansas, Noriega. It's all there, bro.
Mhm.
I'll check
The
it out.
The Chomos, it's all there, bro.
Yeah, I've subbed to the links that Chris and you shared, so I'm gonna watch that this coming week.
Yeah,
Man,
man.
chomos are horrible, man. They should be annihilated. That's my opinion. They're trying to make laws to where I don't really want to use some of these words, but they're making laws to where it'll be all right to do that, and it's like, what? What the fuck? Like, yo, that's bugged out.
Yeah, it's game on, bro. All bets are off, dude. Like, you know what I mean? It's upside down world. Everything's backwards.
Yeah, these are the so-called end days, and they have to say and show what they're who they are, and they are doing that, and they basically have to expose themselves. So everybody that is in that shit, well,
It's a new normal. Make us accept it. This is just how it is, bro. There's nothing you can do about it.
I'm never
Sad.
never gonna accept that. Never.
I'd rather die than live in that sick world. I don't even care, man. I died twice and didn't know it. So I'm still scared to die because I want to live. But if it comes down to dying, fuck it, man. Whatever. It got all quiet.
Somebody that is gonna abuse a child,
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't have to know who or he or she is, because they will never find that person again. Somebody that is doing that to a child. Yeah,
Do you think?
wasted all his rights.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Hey, Beck.
Good to see you. Do you think that someone who's awake and doesn't spend any time thinking about these children has a problem?
No, they're just misinformed. They don't know nothing
What
about
if
it.
they are informed? But to
Oh.
what does it serve? To what does it serve one to stay stuck there if there's nothing one can do but talk about being stuck there? And I mean this as a legitimate question. I'm not being passive aggressive.
That's how I feel
like-
sometimes. It's like
Yeah,
I
and I
talk
know
about all this stuff, but what am I
Exactly.
really
Yeah.
doing? It's like I want to
Well-
do more. I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. I'm running in the same
But that's
spot.
why, yeah, that's why I would say, Charles, you cover so much topics that I do understand. I heard you say earlier, you talk about what what's on your mind to get it off your mind. I mean, that's all you need to, that's perfect justification to talk about something on your mind. It's just that we're so many years. I mean, I'm 3 years into understanding and learning all this, And when I went to my aunt in her 70s and told her what I'd learned about what was going on in the world, my aunt's a devout Christian woman who'd done all sorts of missionary work in the world. And she was sipping her tea and she just like put her finger, just sipping her tea. And she was just like, I know, dear, they never stopped. Right. So, and that's not, I know people can say the church is doing, all sorts of corrupt things, but we know that these kinds of pyramids are set up. So like it's, top down and need to know basis. So like my aunt is guaranteed a good woman who was doing kind work in the country she went to as a retiree to stay and help in an orphanage for a couple of weeks. Right. Like, there wasn't stuff going on, like I mean, the orphanages, yeah, there's people in all sorts of countries that take their children to free schools because they can't afford the schooling for their children in that country. So you end up, abandoning your child at an orphanage so they can get an education, and you visit them regularly. And sometimes they get adopted. And sometimes, that's considered like tragic, but a blessing, right? From the perspective of the person who took their child there, hoping that their child not only got the education, but now was off in some country having a really good life. So that's where we can see that there's an opportunity for the system to exploit that child, even if it's not the church finding it a home. It's just the person doing the adopting, doesn't have the best intentions, right? So I can see very easily where that, that kind of movement of bodies, I'm trying to be careful with language, can be nefarious. But it's also like to assume there's no good in that, like to assume that it is nefarious. Like, I just think that my aunt would have picked up on that, right? So the most nefarious thing in it is that somebody has to take their child to an orphanage to get it an education in this modern day. Because right there, we have one opportunity for them to not be potentially exploited. And the rest of it, I think there is a lot of paperwork that gets shuffled around by these governments that are actually pieces of papers that are not associated with bodies. They were set up so governments would now get transfers and have chattel and have cattle on the books that at some point they're going to have to, erase, right? So I'm not saying this stuff doesn't happen, but to say it happens en masse with no proof, I don't think it serves us. Like, we can look at the reality of what we know, but all of this idea that there's millions and millions of these little tiny children having all of these horrific acts done to them with no proof, I don't think it serves anyone. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, well, you could see it like that. But yeah, there have been situations where women were tied to their bed and had to produce children, and where are all those children gone, And if that's happening underground, and yeah, you're right, we cannot say that if it's true, because there's too little evidence. But everything points to situations like that,
There's evidence. It's been swept under the rug. Even the police are involved. There's tons of evidence it won't come out because they got everyone in their back pocket. X the Most High said, he's like the first person. He said, I was wondering if the oceans came from cutting down giant trees. And I have said that before. That's interesting that someone thought the same way I did, but that's a big, strong possibility.
Yeah, I think the loss of those trees has created a lot of stuff afterwards, including the rise of the seawater and all that. But yeah, who knows for sure,
Well, I know for sure that if there are tunnels, if these are ifs, so I know for sure, but so I can't say that, but if there are tunnels, right? And there is the kind of technology with trains and stuff like that, and there is extra land, and there were orphan trains, and they do put these children on trains, and they do ship them out perhaps into other places that we don't believe exist, or we don't have access to, then of course they would tell us horrific things and death had happened to them, because then we'll never go looking for them. So I think we have a lot of clues here on YouTube in Truth Facts, and at least at bare minimum, we would know that those people were alive and now they're not with their family and they've been taken and probably more likely in that orphanage setting. Not to make it any less tragic, but that they were actually separated from their families in that kind of setting and then shipped off, I think should give some people some relief. I mean, it's not a perfect system, but to know that they're not harmed and they're not dead, and that that what happened to our ancestors is happening still every single day. At bare minimum, we would know that they were alive. You know, there is an opportunity for us to put all of these pieces of the puzzle together to at least say, okay, well, if they're alive and we know there's more land out there, then we can go find them.
Yeah, well, I still have in my background, I don't know if you remember that time period with Mark Dutroux when he was had children in his basement and all that. And he was basically a pawn, nothing more. But he said, and nobody believed him at the time, that his clients were all like prime ministers and people, judges and all that. And that went into the garbage bin, and they never spoke of it again. But that made me realize the years after, you know, all those so-called
how do we
power are involved in that.
But how do we tell the difference between propaganda and truth?
Well, this really happened, so this has to be true. And the rest.
But how do we know it really happened?
Come on, there were dead children in this basement.
In the news?
In Mark Dutroux's basement. And there were
in the news? I'm just saying, why do we not believe war, but we do believe the baby stories? Like, at what point do you pick how does one discern which bits of information from the news is real and which is fake?
Well, that's with eyewitnesses, you know, and people
through research
that have gone through those
But
things.
are there no crisis actors? I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm not debating. I'm not attacking. You guys know that I was on board with all of this information not long ago.
Debate.
Well, I am asking genuine questions, and I'm not attacking. I'm not
That's
in
why
my
I'm
feelings.
open-minded.
You're right.
Because
Exactly.
it could be real and it could be bullshit. Now we know we could say we know locally there's people that do that shit because there's arrests all the time. So I look at it, if it's local and you got chomos on a small level, why wouldn't there be a larger level? They make movies about it. And they like to desensitize by making movies about it. And the war on trafficking, right? Drug trafficking, this and that. So just like drug dealers, if they're selling nickels outside, you don't think there's people selling pounds and fucking boatloads? If it's on a micro to macro, if it's on a small scale, it's definitely on a large scale. Now, that's why I stay open-minded, because we don't know if all the information's true or bullshit. At least I'm speaking for me. So I try to stay open-minded. And as I speak, you know, I say a lot in my live streams. Don't believe me, do your own research. You know, don't take anything I say as facts. You know, at the end of the day, it's up to you to do the research and think for yourself.
Yeah, and Bex also is right. We cannot prove a lot of things, but the things that I saw of children that went into MK Ultra and were sexual abused and all that from young age on.
I've seen it all too. And I've heard from my friends. Okay. Like, I know that abuse happens. I'm not trying to deny,
My
you know, I know people. Yeah.
instinct that says to me that it's true. Those children cannot come up with those things. Yeah, that's real evil.
So we go from that story of those children in the basement to en masse, all government, main high government officials are like that guy.
Well, all key positions, because if that wasn't the case, somebody would speak up right now.
Or we've been fucking brainwashed.
Well, that's what you choose to believe. I refuse to do that.
Well, and I refuse to sit in misery worrying about things I can't solve, especially when there's so many puzzles.
I don't sit
I'm
in
not
misery,
attacking you,
making
Marcel.
conclusions as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
get it. A lot of people, you know, I get where you're coming from, Bex. Like, it always starts with yourself in order to think positive and stuff. Sometimes, you know, because this research did take a toll on me mentally, because it's like, well, now I know all this stuff, you know, is it true or not? But what can I do to fight back? You know, you can't go to war because it'll just blow my wig off, and then boop, that's the end of Chuck. And you could speak out, but 90% of the people are going to say you're crazy. You know, they'll deny anything you say, but most of them don't even do any research or search. So it's like, I get what you're saying. And it came to a point where I wanted to stop all this, so then I wouldn't have to, I could just shut it out of my head and not even think about it. But then I'm like, well, then I'm letting them win. So I'll never stop speaking out. Probably when they're carrying my casket to the ground, I'll still be speaking out. But
Well, that's good,
well,
but I'm not gonna let it control my life anymore. I can put it aside just as easy. But that took a time for me as well, you know.
mhm. But the only way things are gonna change is if we do something about it and speak out. If we just, you know, I think if I just sat back and ignored it all now and just, you know, like you said, Marcel, I don't let it control my life. But if I also just ignore it and not speak on it, I feel like I'm letting them win, and it'll never end. At some point, you know, I always say sometimes you got to go to war to find peace. You know, to find peace, sometimes it's not all sweet. You got to go through to hell to get to heaven. You know, all them sayings, it makes sense.
Yeah. And what
To
Beck says as well, you got to have evidence, but that's what they trying to. They make sure that not a lot of evidence is coming out, you know, and that's why you got to be trusting your
I
instinct.
found it was the opposite, to be honest, with what Indagrouve's suggesting down there that I researched, which I've done. I've been down all the rabbit holes. I actually found it was the opposite. There was tons and tons and tons of information about this, right? And then it ties into the pre-programmed, like all of these movies and the desensitization that adds to the verification, just like somebody on YouTube having a gigantic channel and then shutting it down and going to Rumble and allegedly getting shut down because they claim it's the truth, right? People can also strategically shut down their own channels to justify their cause, to make them look more valid. So I'm just saying, trust me, I've read all of that, so much of that information. There's so much information, you know, that actually way more than not, you know, if you go looking for it. So I'm not ill informed, you know. I'm just saying, how do you verify the information, right? So because there are psychological operations being done on us. They've been done on us our entire existence. We know that, right?
That's not true, Kimba. I just had to say
So
that.
I'm just saying, the idea of us being able to discern what's a psychological operation and what's not, and why, you know, I offered all the pieces of some puzzles that's just an added theory. Have you seen the orphan train stuff? Have you seen the Cabbage Patch Kids stuff? Have you seen the Outer Lands? You know, do you believe in those things? Right? If you believe in those things, then those things, and underground tunnels, then you can put those three pieces of the puzzle together at least to see that the theory is worth considering as a theory without poo-pooing it to say stuck in misery, right? I'm just saying that, you know, if you want to take your last dying breath believing that this is for fact true, meanwhile, you're sitting on YouTube where you've had all these other pieces of amazing history given to you that actually can be put together to just say, hey, you know, so it's just a thought. But, you know,
All
I
these
have already
people that
seen
praise Jesus and all that, how do they know that's true? but yet they still have full
I'm not,
faith
but
in
I'm
it.
not, yeah, but I'm not talking about that. Yeah, but
It's the
those
same
people
thing.
have faith. Well, no, those people have faith in something good that
How do
serves
you know
them.
Jesus was good? You met him?
Well, I'm saying to them, they believe it's good. So they
Same
believe in
thing.
something good.
How do we know it's real? They put that information out. It's the same difference. We don't know if that's real. You know, I
I'm
can
not
say that
attacking
about
you
any
guys.
information.
I just
I
think that
know.
if we were, it's just a
I know you're
theory
not
that one could
attacking
say,
Bex. I'm just
I know, but it's just a
saying.
theory that one could say A plus B plus C plus D is plausible. That's
Yeah,
all.
You're both
You know?
correct. It is believing, and that's all it is. One believes this and one believes that, and yeah, and so-called evidence can be also manipulated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows if the
Okay.
CIA
I'm not
documents
saying-
are real? You
Well,
know,
yeah. And there's
most of
no
it is
way
to
that
keep us. Most of, like Kimba said, I agree with that. You know, they put the information out. The same people who gives us religion is the government. So
well, and that's
this
where I would say
information
that.
could keep us running in circles. Like I said, it's
Yeah.
all to keep us busy while they get away with their fucking, you know,
Well,
what
and-
they're doing.
Yeah.
They
And
got
I
to
just
keep
wanted
us
to say,
busy.
before you guys welcome up into Groove, I just want to clear that I'm not claiming to believe what I'm saying. Okay. I'm just positing a theory, right?
Yeah, I
That is
know.
plausible, you know? So I care very much about people being separated from their families. I care very much about the lives of children in this world. And I care very much about the mental well-being of the people I know. So,
I appreciate you doing that, Bex.
you know,
Playing devil's
like, and-
advocate is
yeah.
good. It gets you thinking, you know, from every angle. You have to do that. A lot of people just pick something and go with it. They don't think things from all angles. You have to. Even if you don't agree with it, you got to look at it that way just because it's a possibility. But anyway.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, like, to at the heart of what's being presented right now, this information, right? We should question the source of it because, like I've said before, with the Jeffrey guy with the island, right? They gave us all that. They told us, they presented us with this grand conspiracy idea on that thing, right? This is back 2016. They let it all out. And then they've left us hanging with that since then. They've told us there's this big list, that they found this big trove of videotape evidence that's got all these secret big names on it. But they've not told us about arresting anybody on it. All these people are still walking around, apparently, that they told us are, you know, maybe on the list or not, right? So question the source of the information. Sure. Why did we get that the only information we should have got is the fact that they arrested 1,000 influential politicians and businessmen already because they found the evidence. Why would they tell us they got evidence and then present no arrests from it? And we're like 8 years later now.
Maybe there's a big war in the background. I think that's happening.
Well, that's why we have to sit up here and discuss these things, because we've been left hanging like that.
Yeah.
But let's look at AP, Associated Press, and Reuters, right? All of our news, that's the source of everything they get. Where are they getting their information from?
Good point.
Somebody owns those organizations. AP and Reuters is owned. It's just a business that just presents information that tells us, here's the news for the day. This happened in this war. This, you know, this murder, this child abduction. And that's another thing I want to say. They have a group called the Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Think about that. We've got an organized corporate entity dedicated to this topic alone. And when you Google how many kids go missing per year, it's something like 700,000 or so a year. Okay, so when we say where's the evidence, well, if you just look at that, if you just do the Google and get the numbers, it's like, okay, let's audit information. Where's this 700,000 figure? Is this real or not? That's something very simply we could do instead of just, you know, going off and having this gloom and doom view about the world and, oh my God, you know, that's how we can use this constructively, is to audit the information. And look up AP and Reuters on Wikipedia. It'll tell you. I think it's Reuters, or maybe AP. I think it's Reuters is the one. But they credit one guy. One guy has the name of like owning Reuters. Okay, so that's a problem. Where's this one guy getting his information from?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That reeks of something.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Well, and in the United States, and I would bet you here in Canada on some level too, although it's sold as a social system, the foster care system. It looks social on like a public system. In the United States, for instance, they have privately run foster care in many states, and yet by privately run, there still is money transfers from from government to
Yep.
the private agencies, right? So
Yep.
big money, right? So there's huge incentive to create birth certificates in that system. Very, very. And I'm not grandstanding here, but I have a master's degree in economics. I'm not a dummy when it comes to the macro and micro economics, nor to contracting and incentives in contracts. I'm not a banker. I never did money in banking. I didn't like that, right? So, but in contracts and incentives are a huge part of what we study in economics. And there's huge incentive in that contract to be extremely corrupt. And the sooner you get out the idea that this kind of shit's happening in the United States, the more and more fake birth certificates are going to be fucking made, especially if it's been infiltrated, right? To have not only these money transfers made, but to continue to degrade the American population, thinking that they themselves are doing this to themselves.
Right, and then there's the whole factor, which I don't really understand this part of it, but a lot of people have mentioned it, so I'm going to accept that it's true in some way. But how they say that our social security numbers, our birth certificates are traded on a stock market. Now I don't understand how that's working. Like we have a trust, and I don't go that deep in all that.
I have a video I could share with you called What They Did to Your Mother. It's about insurance. They take out insurance on you that pays out upon your death. And people born before 1976 were insured at like $500,000, and people born after 1976, like 2 million, So it's who knows if every time you go into the hospital for anything, there's an insurance payout too, where it's cattle. Right. And I've been in a car accident where basically the only thing is you don't realize it. But basically, some fancy forklift came along, right, called an ambulance, And once I was in that accident, and once all those people are around, all those agencies are there to clean up the car and clean up the road and pick up the cattle and take it to the hospital and make it well and do whatever they want. Right. It's no different. Well, it's way worse, actually, because, we have rights, right? And we're socialized into a system that's taught me to believe that all of those institutions were there to care for a person, not pick up their chattel, And yet I know from the moment at 22 years old, if those people cared at all about me as a person, they definitely wouldn't have sliced me open to put 2 stitches in me the way they did. They don't care. Right? Because we're cattle, because we're money, not because they want to lose our energy or stuff like that. It's all for the love of money is the root of all evil. So, I'm with you. They do though, but those birth certificates it's called human capital. So you are counted as a resource, your human resource, HR department, right? And I'll bet you that once you have a job in some of these unions, they also take insurance out on you. So that if something happens to you, period, whether it happens on the job or not, there's a payout from the insurance company, So it really does come down to insurance.
Yeah, which is obviously a scam,
Definitely. It's its own banking system, 100%. And it's like above the banking, transfers of money from like higher level institutions, just like the IMF or whatever, right? Like, I don't know if that's them but Yeah, so there is
And
an
the-
organization of it all that has us all be worth a very little, in terms of if everybody's insured en masse for this, like each person is just individually disposable because there's a payout,
Yeah, and who's
So,
reaping the who's benefiting? Who's getting the quote profits from that payout? Well, it's people who are really contributing nothing.
well,
All these
yeah,
big
and
CEO types. Go ahead.
another payout that occurs that a lot of people don't know, but there's war reparations, right? So if, we go into like, the Middle East and, and drop some, delete some people, basically there's a count done, right? So there's a report made of all the people that died, and it's sent to the nation that dropped the bombs, and they're supposed to pay, right? So there's actual war reparations paid from warring nations one to another for the body count.
Yeah.
Which is like go ahead, Marcel.
I once checked the numbers on my ID card, and it has two different numbers, long numbers. And there was a site online, and somebody gave that to me, and I was looking, and I was putting in my numbers, and it were all kinds of companies worldwide that were basically trading stuff with my other number on my ID card. So, and basically everybody is millionaire, but we don't have access to that money.
Yeah, and that's like my favorite little simple example here is like Google and all these tech companies that are harvesting and then quote selling our data, and we get nothing from that.
Yeah.
That's why I bring up the point about us being shareholders, because that's exactly what it sounds like we are with everything you are talking about right now with these numbers.
Mhm.
Shareholders. So I want my payout. You sold my data, you made a profit. I get a cut. I don't get 1%. I don't get nothing.
Yeah.
I just created value for you and I get nothing. But Google, something named Google is $1 billion company. I'm sorry, bro, but that don't add up in any reality, unless it's criminal.
Yeah, it is criminal.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. It is criminal. Yeah.
Well, I was watching a podcast a couple nights ago called Quite Frankly. It's pretty much nightly during the week, and he talks about all these things, and he brings guests on. Well, he had a caller that called in with a suggestion, and this was after the live with Charles the other day. I was going to clip it, but I don't have a channel anyway. So, but the guy brought up the point that could we talk solutions on there, and the caller called up and said, well, one thing that we can do that I guess people are discussing is making our own local grand juries to start holding these types of things accountable from a local level on up. Because if we can't do it through the court system, because that's all corrupted,
Exactly.
then apparently as citizens, we, form our own grand juries.
What you're saying right now, that's exactly what needs to happen. Everything needs to be done locally again.
Yeah, man. We got to start somewhere, I mean, it's not getting any better.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, it's like I tell people before 2020, they already had all of us in every way. We were already captive slaves. No matter what we did, we were already there. What made them ramp it up in 2020? That wasn't enough. And they're still talking about ramping it up even further. So, we got to do something. A thinking man would say, hey, I see what's happening here, and this has got to stop today. It should have stopped. Yeah, it should have stopped 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are 4 years later, just plugging along.
Yeah, they are still amping it up because, like Beck said, it's money. The more people
money,
the more money they get, and that's basically in every situation, including wars or the theater of wars. You know?
And it's like we mentioned religion a little bit earlier too, and the virtues are not of that. I mean, look at the Vatican, dude. Look how much power the Vatican has, how much money and riches they have,
Mhm.
and what have they done? What have they spoke out about anything? Very little. Every now and then you get a little statement from this Pope guy, but they don't actually do anything.
No.
And we were talking about the CPS, and where's the evidence for these children and this and that, dude? I could tell you where I'm at here in Louisiana. My 2 neighboring parishes, including the one that I spent all of my adult and school age life in, within the past 5 years, 2 sheriffs. Well, one of the sheriffs, it was his best friend who was the head of the SWAT team. Both got popped for 20 years worth of abuses related to chomoing, including manufacturing videos. All right, so the evidence for that hits very close to home for me. I went to school with one of those dudes, and he was always known to be a problem. And he's head of SWAT, and got away with it for a long time before he finally got popped. And I think the feds popped him, But when they came to arrest him, he was fishing on a boat. When he seen them all pull up on the bank to arrest him, you know what he did? Threw his phone in the water. So they know, they know what they're doing, bro, and they know it's wrong, and they know eventually it's probably coming for them.
Yeah, and that's why they try to get rid of as many people as possible, because they know that that day is going to come when they all get exposed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that's my grand theory, and I still have yet to be disproven. But everybody asks, what's the motive for the 2020 switch? And to me, it's that. It's the Epstein thing. It's the fact that they know if they don't do something now,
That's all distractions. Epstein.
Well, what
thing.
I would say it gave them the opportunity to divide us on an information set, screaming, "I love you more than you love me, take the jab," or "I love you more than I love you more than you love me, don't take the jab." Right?
Yeah.
Both people were screaming, "I love you so much, and yet if you don't side with me, you deserve to not be here." Right? And then we had time in lockdown to be informed on I was already like on the BIPOC ally train, for instance. I already been sitting for 2 years at the back of rooms where nobody even knew I was there. I was being a good little white girl with my silent fucking lips pursed, right? To the point where even during all that George Floyd stuff, right? Nobody knew I was there. My silence was weaponized against me, right? Totally. Because I couldn't say anything. There was nothing I could say to help. And here we sit 4 years later with that kind of racial divide weaponized, right? These are privately owned, government operated psychological operations, right? Or privately owned, government organized psychological operations. I don't know exactly what the O's stand for. I'm still figuring it out. But so in that time, we got to consume information. Right? Like in my country, like people were home for almost 2 years, right? People were, the way the government was doling out checks, right? And the way they shut down the system. And that time people had nothing to do but consume information and pick a side. So I would say if you wanted to take over places, it's a lot easier to take over divided people, fractured into tiny divided groups on such strong issues. And I only named 2 of them, and now you could let that run rampant for 10 years and then go in and very easily take over. Right. So I would say it's a tactic of war, that it's the most civilized war we've ever been in,
Yeah, you're probably.
And yeah. So.
Right. Because why divide us? Because that keeps us from uniting together under any kind of common.
Yeah, it'll make it that much harder to unite, even if we had to.
So what's the
especially
one?
some of those lines. Like we could probably get past the mask and no mask, but some of those racial lines, man, they've been weaponized big time. And we can see it on YouTube, no problem.
So what's the one issue that we should all be able to unite around, right? Should it be? I would think it would have been protecting kids or our money. That seems to be the only two, but that doesn't seem to be working either.
Mhm.
Unity is the most important thing. The rest will come naturally. You know, we don't need to divide each other from the so-called authority. You know, I think it starts with in your own
fucking
street,
thing,
in your own
man.
street. You know, but as long as people cannot even greet each other, living in your own street, and you know, it's
Well, that's why I always have to bring up these organizations like, you know, the Masons, for example, because these are localized groups, wherever the local lodges are. These are the business owners. These are the local government officials. These are the banksters. These are all the influential people of a certain given area congregated together, right? So if they're not, and they are a separatist organization on their own. They're racially separatists. They're gender separatists. They have different groups for all these different classifications, right? And if they're not part of the problem, or if they're not part of the solution, then are they not a part of the problem? If they're already set up, they should be a local auditing body. Like, how much power do they have in those little lodges? A lot. You know what I mean?
They got a lot of power.
I mean, if we're gonna call
Well,
anybody
when
out,
you're
we can
high
start
up,
there.
you got power.
With great power comes great responsibility. I mean, I don't assume
Everything's
any
an
power.
illusion.
I have no authority or power or responsibility over any other person because I haven't been given any. But I could tell you, if I was a judge, if I was a detective, if I was anybody in that sort of position, you damn right I'd be investigating crimes against the public. They take oaths for that, but they circumvent that for their oath that they made to these groups, like the Masons.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Well,
Yeah, man.
I'm just waiting to get my turn
Go
so
ahead.
I could rewind. I agree with Candy. She said insurance is a scam, driver's license and tags for the car, etc. It's all illegal, and I looked into that. And they say when you're a sovereign citizen, you call it what, traveling? You don't need a license and all that, and it is kind of a scam. It's even when you fill out an application, like all this stuff. But we'll stick with the licenses. Like people say we're free, but you're fucking marked everywhere. You got your social security, your license, your fucking plate on the car, your insurance. Like, when is it enough? They're tracking everything we do. Then they tell you you're free. Like, I don't know. When I really think about all this shit, man, it's mind blowing how they get away with it and we just let it slide. I rather be kind of miserable and honestly and speak out and put up a fight with these people than just shut up, sit back, and because it's not just about me. It's about all these children's futures. You know, imagine having to live in a society where you got digital money and a point system. They're allegedly doing that in China. I don't know. You know, I haven't looked into it, but that's hell. That would be pure hell. It's pure hell now, for fuck's sake. And everybody, when that situation happened a few years ago, everyone, I was just mind blown how everyone fell in place like dominoes. I was like, whoa. So, well, that didn't go how I thought it would. Stay in your house. Yes, sir. You know, just like the people in New York City about 4 months ago, they were, it was in August of last year, they were spraying something. And, you know, just driving down the street, saying it's for mosquitoes, you know. You tell them, hey, what you doing? Psh, spray you in your face. Shut up. This is the world we live in. Let me see your ID. No, I didn't do no crime. Let me see your ID. And the next thing you know, they beat you to pulp over an ID. Got all quiet. Candy's
Well, yeah.
dropping some gems.
The beatings will continue until morale improves, bro. I mean, think about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
we always have
violence pays sometimes.
we always
Go ahead,
have a
Marcel.
choice. We always have a choice, but that really shocked me as well that most of the people just complied.
Yeah.
Like, oh sure, take my freedom, no problem.
I look at it as a bully, you know?
Yeah.
The bully isn't going to stop. You could walk away, the bully will follow you and keep going and going until you pop him in his eye socket. Then he's like, oh, I can't mess with this guy no more.
Yeah, it stops, or a big part stops when we don't comply anymore. It's as simple as that. Nothing more, nothing less. But most people don't have the courage. I don't know what it is, but something like that. Scared of losing their job or whatever. You know, they would have their own. But
Well, it's like Charles. It's like if you enter into a situation, let's say somebody, I don't know, if somebody tries to break in your house, and
Yeah, not in Connecticut. You don't want that. Because if you hurt them, you'll go to prison. There's no standing
Right.
ground here.
Exactly, dude. So if you take out one person under a situation that could even be argued, hey, that's self-defense. If they find you guilty of murder, you're spending the rest of your life in jail because
I've seen it.
you're a danger to society because you killed one person. But if
I've seen videos people make on that in the groove. This
if
person
if you it's yeah
did that and they went to jail. They had a legal gun registered. The person broke in their house. They shot him, and the person that shot the dude got like 2 weeks for his crime, and the person that shot him got like years. And it's like, dude, they breaking in his home, and he had a legal pistol. It's crazy.
well, what is killing 10,000 or thousands of people? Is that not a danger to society?
Hell yeah.
But nobody even bats an eye. Well, that's it's just war, bro. War is ugly.
in the groove, it's just a statistic. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to take the guns away. Well, I always say, that sounds good, right? But look what happened to Venezuela when they gave their guns up. Look what happened to Europe. All these countries that ever put their guns down, the government never did. And they always say, that's for your own good, though. We're here to protect you. No, the fuck you're not. That's the illusion. I learned from other mistakes. When I look at Venezuela put their guns down, then they got invaded and they were just slaughtering these people. Allegedly, that's what it said on the internet in Google. But I sure as hell ain't gonna put nothing down until I see them put theirs down. And I still won't trust the situation. I think I'm crazy, but because they probably got some hidden down underground or something. So, and it's not the gun that kills, it's the fucking idiot behind it. You know, you don't know how to control his anger or be civil, you know? So, it's not the gun, man, it's the moron that picks it up. You know, and it could be a rock. It could be a kitchen knife. It could be a pencil. It could be a dresser drawer. Anything's a weapon. Your fist. You know, you can hit someone in the throat and kill them. You crush their larynx. So, you know, is it really about our safety? Or is it about control? Think about that.
Yeah, well, if people were more knowledgeable about certain,
Or is it another tool of divide, to have the people divided against each other and hating their government,
I
right?
hate the government.
Well, it's all
Well,
of it.
I'm totally an anti-establishment person, right? Like, I mean, I've rebelled against the system long
Well,
before I had any reason to. Just the idea that there
do
was
you
people on
think
the
it could
planet.
work, Bex? Do you think the government can work?
I think there is a room for council of elders to, yeah, I do think there is room for some form of structure to how we govern ourselves. You know, there's got to be some sort of council of elders that people go to, and there's got to be some sort of system to come to some sort of understanding and agreements and how we live together. So, you know, at some point there's going to be some group of people put in place to have these conversations. But no, I don't think, you know, I ever since I was a child and I found out that there were people on the planet that had no food, right? They had no opportunities. They paid the same price for everything else. You know, it doesn't make any sense to me. You know, children's parents go to court and divorce, and a child's value is some percentage of the income of the parent that's supporting the other parent. You know, like it's it's absurd. It's absurd that a doctor's child is worth $1,000 a month, and a McDonald's McDonald's worker's child is worth $150 a month. You know, like it's absolutely insane that anyone in the world thinks that somebody in North America deserves more than somebody in Nigeria. Period.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah, inequity and the idea of it that we, you know, there's capital N number of people on the planet, right? Or on the, you know, it's insane
It's
that
up
people
to the
don't
press
understand.
to speak out, though. You know.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not saying I have the solutions, but I can
Marcel,
definitely
go ahead.
say, yeah, please do.
No, sorry. When you were done, I'm gonna say Marcel's next because he tried to say something when you did. Bex.
Yeah,
No, it's perfect. I'm sure I'd made my point. No, it's perfect.
Yeah, I wanted to say I agree with Bax. There is enough for everybody, more than enough, so that the one has more.
That is very true.
Make any sense? Doesn't make any sense.
Right. And look, this fact that we don't like our government, and it's for good reason, because that's part of the plan. And like you said, we got to have something, right? We got to have some sort of structure. Well, they're setting that up too. That's the World Economic Forum. That's social credit. The problem is with us divided.
You don't want social credit.
They're going to introduce their new system unless we decide on a better one for ourselves. And that would be the goal of keeping us divided. Right? So it's all playing out. And we are all kind of that, because I struggle with that too. It's like, yeah, I hate the government, but do I want to live in a world where, because if we have no government, we are going to have something in place. That's why I try to like resonate with people to solutions. We got to figure out something, just like voting. Like, all right, let's get rid of representatives. Let's direct vote ourselves, you know, internet based and from a citizen level. We don't need representatives to get bought off and go against our interests for their own. So we're going to have to come up with these ideas, and we're going to have to figure out how to implement it.
Yeah, I don't hate the government. I don't hate the government. I just don't trust or like the people running it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's what we need. Better people, better intent, a better set of rules. Right now it's off the rails.
Well, and like you said, less middlemen. That's what most union people have grievances with their unions about. Why am I paying all these dues for all these office workers to sit? That's what in Canada, that's what our public institution is, right? I remember when I studied public policy or public, you know, I'm trying to remember what it was called, but basically we studied, you know, the structure of the role of a public government, like the role that the government plays in hiring the public, right? And we live in a country where so many people work, like for the public, not the private industry, right? Way more than you guys. You know, like there's so much. And then every coffee shop across from every fucking police station, like they basically work for they're private you know, it's private institution, but it's still bread and butter is the government workers, right? So and if you think about it, like you think about just the union as an example of what the government stands for, you know, lots of union workers are like, how did all these middlemen get in there? Well, it's just a way of putting more people into the private market and taking the burden of responsibility off the public market. Essentially, they're legislated private workers forcing the private market to pay for middlemen. You see what I'm saying? They'd be regulated in the structure of what a union is, which is a regulated body. So I'm just saying that, you know, I totally agree with that idea that, you know, once you could get over the idea of a voting system being corrupt, right? Like that, how is you going to know that your vote's going to get in? You know, I think you'd very quickly see that the people would start voting. You know, people are saying, oh, well, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Nobody votes. Well, nobody votes because they have no faith in the system, you know, but if you actually saw that kind of thing instituted where people knew that, you know, at every corner store, there was a kiosk, you know, that you could go in and vote at or whatever, that was like very well secured. I mean, I know I'm being like, where it's something that's easy and accessible and done because people want to have their say, you know, and you have to make it easy for people. You can't make it phone dependent. You can't make it computer dependent. You know, those things are hackable. You have to find a way that's, yeah, I think it's brilliant, you know, so
Yeah, I saw
definitely cuts out the middlemen.
I saw a clip a while back. I think it was Taiwan. They were still voting by hand, counting by hand, and they were speaking out loud so everybody could see.
That works.
And that's the only honest way to vote.
But you wouldn't get the population doing that when you had to, because we're talking about voting on almost every decision. That's what I think In Da Groove was putting forth, right? Why have these representatives when we have the tools in our hands, or we have an economy that supports convenience, let's say, where if you knew that you could vote on so many issues, I think people would be excited to vote. Now, I know we talked about contracts earlier. There's always have to look for the incentive to cheat. That's why people wouldn't want the computer system, but there's no way you could go to a paper system voting on those kinds of decisions. You'd have to trust an electronic system.
Well,
It
and
just
there is
wouldn't be, yeah.
Well,
there is a guy right now who's running one organization basically that is tracking basically what Google algorithms are doing to influence our current voting system. So, long story short, if we have a true system of checks and balances, we could have a computer-based, auditable, open source type accounting system. Because right now we're relying on individual people in these jobs who call themselves auditors and accountants to do these jobs, but they're being filtered through the people who are controlling all the results still. But if we make it open source,
yeah.
everything has receipts. Just like if you're a public, if you're a government worker, you can go online and you can find out every government worker, their income, their salary is reported. It's public information. When I made $15 an hour working a little computer job with the state for 10 years. My salary was online. Anybody could put my name into the database search and they could find out exactly how much I make a year. Why? Because I was a public worker. I was a civil servant. So we just need to expand that sort of accounting. But right now, see, people don't pay attention to that. They don't. Most people don't even know that. The only reason I knew is because my salary was on there. I was like, holy shit, you know, like. But it makes sense, right? If the public has to pay my salary, they should know how much I make.
Yeah, open source would be a good thing, because then you can also see if something not so good is happening somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
So we got to figure out something. I mean, it's a necessary evil to have some sort of structure. You know, some people We talk about walking away, and that's part of it. But if we don't come up with something better, they got their idea for that. That's the Klaus Schwab and the rest of these dudes. Because they know eventually we are going to reject our governments. They're making it impossible not to. How could anybody in good conscience still be voting right now? I don't know. But they are. They still looking forward to November this year.
Yeah.
That's
It's the same
insanity.
here. It's the same here. I don't get it as well. I don't get it. But yeah.
I've really enjoyed listening to your guys' conversations when I'm not here as of late. I mean, I always have, but I've been here more often as of late listening, and it's such a delight to see you on panel more into groove. I really appreciate the perspective you bring, and I mean, and I really, really appreciate the balance that Charles brings when we're having a conversation like we just had, and I appreciate the solid stances that people have. You know, like I appreciate Marcel. I love hearing you, you know, ease up on the burden of carrying this kind of understanding. You know, it's hard to reconcile knowing what we know, and if it's true, I mean, it's beyond abhorrent. You know. And so kudos to you guys for, you know, like still being able to have the conversations and evolve to a point of at least trying to like alchemize it without letting it like weigh you down so much, you know, because it is really hard. And I was there. I mean, I was fucked up a couple of years ago. I'm not saying I was where you were. I'm saying I was deep into this information, right? And so I'm just trying to put all the pieces of the puzzle together, assuming that not everything is a lie, you know, but also assuming that nobody has the truth. So I really appreciate you guys hearing my perspective and you know, taking it in, because I think we do have to start shifting, at least start contemplating some of the ideas that could be put together like that, because if we can't admit we're wrong, right? If information were to come out tomorrow telling us we were wrong and we couldn't see it and we don't believe it, we're right back to the cognitive dissonance that they told us we suffered from when we first got red pilled. So I'm just saying that, you know, one part of this exercise is at least creating space for being wrong.
Well, I'd love to be wrong. I'd love for him to come out and say, that this whole Epstein thing, that didn't really happen. That was some propaganda. That was a psychological operation. I'd be like, oh, thank God. I'd be mad that I was lied to and manipulated, and we could deal with that, because that should not be okay to manipulate people, right? But I would definitely
100%.
be glad that there were no kids harmed. But if you tell me they are, well, that needs to be solved. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, because then we could get, if that were the case, and what a gift that would be, we could get back to being concerned and trying to figure out, how do we help the kids that we know are right in front of us and we know are being harmed, right? So for instance, the education system, sitting down with children and having heavy conversations about gender and sexuality. You know, it's unnecessary, right? Now, I'm not saying that there aren't the anomalies out there that need to be heard. You know, they need to be phenotyped and tested for their XXY chromosomes, for their XYY chromosomes, because most of the time, if they let us have an electron microscope, you let almost, there's so many genius children on this planet that can solve problems because they haven't been indoctrinated. You know, you hear the kids that make plastic out of coconut husks and stuff, you know, like they just solve problems, right? So I think we would find, and I know I've done research on Swyer syndrome and Klinefelter syndrome, and I'm not trying to knock a trans person who doesn't have a genetic difference. But as long as we're not phenotyping people, then we don't, and we're not phenotyping all the people, we don't know. So that coupled with sick children and dying children and, you know, all the things that we could go into a children's
Sorry.
hospital and put our energies towards instead of, you know, cycling on the internet about information that may or may not be true, right? So right now we're going to assume, you know, that could be, you know, and it signifies something. Obviously there's all these papers going on, right? So, but I'm just saying there are real children right around us that need our help more than the internet needs us talking about 2 million babies gone since 2020.
Yeah, but you got to
right?
talk about it to let the people that don't know.
But I think they know by now.
That's
I mean,
the only way to come together is to communicate.
Where's the 4 million parents though?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
You got to ask the parents.
Well, you know, when the earthquake in Haiti happened a few years ago, there was a little Baptist group that got stopped.
Yeah, Haiti got it bad.
Well, the Haiti government stopped these people from stealing, quote, 33 children. The youngest was like 2 months old.
Didn't the guy get assassinated in the groove? The leader of Haiti a few years ago, allegedly because he didn't make his people do the jizzer jabber. And someone killed him. And they got it bad in Haiti. I just want to interrupt real fast because I seen a video and then people got it fucked up.
Well, there was also like a little cartel group, I think it was in Haiti, that was starting to take over and overrun local areas. And you know what the local people did? They got tired of being threatened and they all banded together and they took that dude out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's where that's the kind of unity we have, and it's ugly to talk about and think about that we got to take people out for the good of everybody.
That's what I'm about to get into real quick when you're done. I just want to say something real quick.
Well, that's just rules of nature, dude. You know what I mean? If you're a wild animal out there and another animal comes along to threaten your survival, what happens? You got to fight for your survival, dude, and that's what we're in. But it's a paperwork. Kind of a paperwork and a war of the mind more than it is a physical thing so far, but it's leading up to that. You know what I mean? So how do we want to handle it? We want to make it clean or we want to make it messy? Well, the longer we wait, it's getting messier and messier.
That's true. I'm going to play devil's advocate with what Candy says. I think that's a good way to make people think too, is play devil's. You got to play both sides. But Candy said the leaders will never let us stand together. And I kind of agree with that, but, you know, I'm playing devil's advocate now. I don't promote violence. But who remembers Chicago when the people came together? They called it the Something Coalition. Yeah, it could have been government made, but it got regular people to come together. And the police couldn't hold it down. They were outnumbered. Even the cops said they were shitting bricks. Hong Kong. People came together.
Yeah,
the police couldn't even hold it down. They whooped their ass.
Look what happens in Germany. The farmers and the civilians.
The fear they pump into you is just fear, and it scares the people. You know, they say, oh, you know, personally, yeah, there's going to be casualties, but if we stood our ground, just think of how we outnumber them. And I don't promote violence or none of that. I'm just playing devil's advocate, but they just want to stare us with the fear, so we don't stand together, period. And a lot of this is division. I agree with that.
Speaking of division, I have to go, but gleefully so. Just dividing the group from 4 to 3. We're just dividing the group temporarily from 4 to 3. I'll be listening in the chat. I've got an appointment in about 50 minutes that I've got to go to. So
appreciate
I'll be
you,
hanging in chat and listening. Oh, I appreciate you guys so much. I'm going to try and be here a lot more often. And yeah, I've got some pretty exciting things going on in my life. So I know I haven't told you, Charles, but I've been working on a grant that I'm applying for creative idea that I have. I'm trying not to count my chickens before they hatch, so I don't want to come online and tell everyone about it right now. But it's really exciting, you know. I've
I hope
the
it
last
goes. It'll work.
yeah,
Stay focused
yeah,
on
yeah.
it.
Well, yeah, and the process of applying for grant can be pretty intensive, right? So just going through
Yeah.
the process alone once is a good experience. You know me, I always come in from left field, so I'm kind of stretching the criteria a little, but so far it seems that everyone's on board with my interpretation of what the criteria is. So I just had to make a bit of a, I had to come in with could this be seen as this? And do I have the right credentials? Right. And so far it looks like it's, at least at this point, people are optimistic about it. So yeah, so that's part of what I'm off to do this morning. I've got an appointment, to meet with someone who's involved in the project, but I'll tell you guys about it once. I should find out sometime late February. And if I get it, I'll tell you guys what it's all about. And if I don't get it, I'll probably downplay what the idea was, but either way, much love, you guys. I'll catch you tomorrow. Probably. I'll be listening.
Peace,
Take care.
Bex. I just hope, everything we talk about, I go live damn near every day, 6 hours, 5 hours, I'm just hoping it'll reach ears that have connections and could start making a change, man. Like, I want to do more. I feel like this ain't enough. I put in a lot of work going live every day. People, probably think it's easy, but you got to take 6 hours out of every day.
You're doing what you can, and that's enough. You can't do more than
True.
you can. And yeah, I've had the same thoughts. Am I doing enough? But like I said before, at some point I did too much, and I lost myself again. My health and my mind and all that. So you have to be guarding your boundaries, because you cannot handle everything, and I think we are already doing a good job. Most of us here are already sharing and caring, and that's enough. There's nothing more you can do,
Peace, Sir Drop. Sir Drop is in the building.
I'm gonna hop off as well, Charles, because it's almost dinner time here, and I haven't that.
All right.
Food-wise, so I'm gonna start cooking. Was a good talk.
All right, Marcel. Peace, and thanks for coming up.
Later, guys. Bye-bye.
Yeah, In the Groove, man, is on the same page as me. Like, not saying no one else isn't, but I looked at standing our ground from many angles. Walking away is the way. But people should realize what's going to come with that. They're not just going to, it's a strong move, but they're not just going to be like, okay, see you later. Look at, what's that guy? Christopher Hauser and other people who stood their ground with their Social Security and that account and all that, who figured shit out and did a lot of reading, and all because of a 1890 Webster. I think it was Webster Dictionary, or was it an almanac? I think it was an old Webster's Dictionary. I think. I don't want to misquote Christopher Hauser, but he ended up doing some time, and he had a lot of time on his hands to research. And his wife sent him an 18-something dictionary, man, and that blew the doors open, because those dictionaries back then had everything in them. Law, all the words, the etymology, breaking everything down in them books, and he learned a lot. And he started looking into his case, which opened more doors for him to learn more about law. So people should check Christopher Hauser out. A lot of people say he's phony and this and that, but There's competition in everything.
Well, let's just
So-
say he's phony, right? Well, let's just use him as an example. What is he
Yeah.
saying? He's basically saying there's a way, whether it's real or not. If it's phony, then it's
Right.
even more revealing.
Now,
But it's-
people have said that he is, but I'm just looking at the information like you're saying, you know? And when you look at it, it's like, holy shit.
What it just discounted as phony is intellectually weak, or it's a psyop diversion. Because what that dude, or what that example even is proven, is that there is legal recourse here. What did he do? He went to the books, he went by their words, their definitions, and pointed out the discrepancy.
And it worked.
We
He
should all
went
be
to
doing
prison. He stood his ground, though. See, they're gonna fuck with you. They're gonna come fuck with you because most people break and fold, but he didn't.
that. Exactly.
And they try to tuck it under the rug. Oh, nothing here to see, you know, because they don't want people learning that shit. No,
They
there's
made him
nothing
a-
here to see.
Yeah, he made him a sacrificial lamb to prove to show they had to beat the slave to show the rest of the slaves what'll happen if you get out of line. Well, what happens if all the slaves get out of line? What they gonna
Right.
do, bro? Nothing. They're gonna fold.
Run,
Yeah, dude.
you know, or they'll get in one of their airplanes that stay up for days or a week. They have an airplane, I think, that could fly up for a week. You know, just exterminate, man. Now, I think they've done this already. Every time the people start questioning and figuring out, you know, there's always that.
They might all go to
always the-
Antarctica.
It's always the people in the back of the room that are quiet, analyzing everything, that figure shit out. It's very rare that the loud person that wants to be the center of attention.
And I also wanted to say on your comment earlier about, you know, talking here and spending 6 hours on these lives talking, and I was walking my dog at the time, so I couldn't chime in. But what I wanted to say is it's like me and you, Charles, are kind of in the same boat. We're working age, very capable adult men who have been denied opportunities. Like I think about all my friends right now, they're at some job, they're flipping burgers, they're moving batteries around, they're shuffling paperwork. That's what they're spending 8 hours a day doing.
And
What we're
my
doing
friends
here-
too, and they say
Yeah.
that's what life's about, man. That's what we're supposed to do. We got to survive. And I'm like, I don't want to be like that, bro. I don't want to be miserable.
Well, we're in a unique position, dude, where what are we going to spend our 8 hours a day doing? Well, we're doing a community service. We're not getting paid for it. The only
True.
wages we get are spiritual, right? Or it should be social. We should have all our friends propping us up, saying, "You're right, dude. I got to work all day, but man, you saying some good thing. I'm gonna." And I tell my friends this too. I'm like, dude, I give him little nuggets of like little rhetorical questions to just ask the other people he works with. Like, well, you know, ask him, why should we be paying income tax if a tax is an implementive tool to discourage behavior? So if you're taxing income, aren't you just trying to discourage the behavior of earning? So when you break things down like that, you know, sometimes you can crack some of these people, bro. Like, and I've seen it work. I've seen my normie friends turn. Shit, 10 years ago, bro, everybody told me I was crazy. You know, now they come back, dude, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? I'm like, yeah, dude, I told you all about that 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah, it's programming, bro. Like for the people, if the government says sit, you know, they'll sit. The government says stay home, they'll stay home. It's mind blowing to me because when I was younger, that shit would have never worked. I'm glad I had the elders I had barking stuff at me because, you know, they weren't with the bullshit. They were truly about being free. Most of them are dead now.
Yeah.
So
That's why I'm glad I live where I live down here in the deep south. It's a, you know, it's it's mostly a red state. This area is definitely red. In the past 4 years, I can tell you, it's been very
Not
easy.
mine.
Right. So it is definitely different in different places. But I can tell you here, bro, people ain't down
It's
with it.
blue is blue here, man.
Yeah.
It's all Crips.
Our cities are blue, but all the surrounding areas, most of the state, nah, bro. People got their guns. They didn't put masks on. You know what I mean? A lot of them work kind of subcontract and a lot of heavy
Working
equipment.
class.
Yeah, dude. So I'm glad to be
Republicans,
here.
working class. If people want to be, that's their choice, Democrat and Republican, and they like their party, that's all fine and dandy. I'm not going to hate a person because of that. But we need to, I don't know if the government can work or not. We haven't tried, right? Well,
We haven't had a good one yet. Yeah, you're right.
The people haven't had, we don't want people from these families. I want a president that we really choose, that's from the bottom. They're careful. Why does a president have to be a rich person? Like, I don't understand how people don't see how it's all rigged. It's just a show. They can't see behind the curtain who the real puppeteers are. And then I think to myself, is what we're doing a waste of time? Am I going to die and everything still be the fucking same? Probably.
Right.
That's the worst part about it. Is shit going to really change? People say behind the curtains, they're at war, and Trump is really in charge, and all this nonsense I hear. I don't know, man. If you were taking down the evil, why would you do it quietly? You would win the people over even more if you did it in the open. If they showed, and people say, oh, well, blow their cover. I get it. But, at some time, dude, if you took off the head of the snake,
well, that's
pretty
why,
much won.
Yeah. That's why I wonder about this, like the military in general, right? Like, we have to believe that there's a lot of people in the military who definitely are very patriotic. They went with a certain, I'll say, good intention, meaning to protect their own country and citizens and their families and neighbors by proxy, to uphold these ideals that have been trampled on. Okay, so they could have removed a president. Supreme Court, you got 12 or 13 people on that thing, right? They should have been striking down everything. There should be no censorship because we have a Supreme Court that's supposed to prevent that. Free speech is very easy, but they're getting away with it. So that's why I call them illegitimate. They've already discredited themselves. You know what I mean?
Look at Candy. Candy said, "All these Trumpers are going to be disappointed." They already should be when he lost, and everyone's like, "Oh, I got to admit he did a good job. He helped the country out, but that quickly got reversed when Ding Dong got in, and they've been doing this for years. It's a duality: good president, bad president. Good president, bad president." That's how they balance out, and they always put the illusion up. They got to balance it out. Okay, because they know we're divided, so they got to give each side something good to keep them quiet and not asking questions. Oh, we'll give them Trump, and then all the Trumpers had to deal with the Biden, so they're supporting both sides to keep people at bay. I see their game, man. They think they're slick.
Yeah,
because they keep switching every 4 years. Go ahead.
What I like to tell these diehard Trumpers is just a couple things about 2020. Warp speed and the fact that he shut down the churches for Easter. So if you're a religious type, why you don't have a problem with that? Like, that was people underestimate how symbolically important that was. The fact that Easter was shut down. They didn't allow people to go to church for Easter. You mean to tell me you believe that your Savior was resurrected? Every Easter, I got these Facebook posts. He is risen. He is risen. All this shit. They're all excited, right? But what did they do? They subverted to the state. The state is their God. My uncle runs a church. His church was shut down for Easter. So what kind of faith do you have in a God or a Savior if you did exactly what the government? You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
Bro,
because, you know, if you truly had all, that's why in the Bible, man, they put to obey the government, man. And that's what I see at the top of their pyramids, the government, not God. God is gold, oil, and drugs. That's what Prodigy said from Mobb Deep. But, you know, like a lot of times Kimbo says, I've thought about this too, because I think deep, man. It could all be bullshit to keep us running in circles and arguing with each other, and it's just time they gain to keep us busy. You know, to keep us looking into all this stuff and pumping this information out to keep us busy, so their criminal actions will continue while it's all about keeping us busy, so we don't have time to ask questions and see what's going on behind these closed doors. So, you know.
Or discussing solutions even, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's what happens with a lot of these StreamYards that get infiltrated with these, you know, chaos agents, we'll call them, is to come in and steer the conversation, make sure the conversation stays in a loop, make sure everybody's focusing just on the negative. But most of the StreamYards that I have been a part of, there's very little talk about actual solutions.
Glad you said that.
You know what I mean?
Where did Kimbo's go?
The solution is that's positive. I mean, yeah, we got a problem, right? So what do we do about it? Well, as adults, let's solve it. Yeah, it's ugly. It's a terrible problem. But that doesn't mean we have to accept that it's a problem that can't be changed.
You know how the news, they will like, and then when people do question and start poking, and they're like, oh, I'll use drugs for instance. Oh man, all this stuff in the streets, it's doing away with people. And so what they'll do is they'll put something on TV or on the news, on a daily morning show, you know, the war on drugs, right? And they'll make it sound good and make people believe that something's being done about it, you know? And then you get, this is how they get money out of the people too. The police will be like, oh, we need more guns and more tanks and more bulletproof vests and all this stuff. We'll use that as an excuse. So we could go to war with these drug dealers. They're armed to the gills and they're a threat to society, right? And that's how they get armed. So then they could push their agendas and be safe, because before that September event, the police they were just there to patrol. And so now they're using them as a fucking gang, man, and a part of the system. So they've always been a part, but you know what I mean. They had to militarize them so they can do what they're doing now and be safe, because they know people ain't gonna put up with it. Certain people. So it's crazy, man, how they desensitize the people to make them think something's being done about it. They're all with Hollywood, NASA, the government.
Well, that's the ugly fact about our law enforcement systems. They're not community based. They're Freemasonic based. Let's just say that, bro.
Protect and serve the community. That's why they took it off the car. They took it off all the patrol cars here about 8 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah, because there are good cops. There are good people who want to be cops. But you know what happens when they get in the force? They get ran off. They get ran off.
Poisoned, become the parasite bites them and then become it, or they get a cure and run off. They get the cure and be like, "Fuck this."
And it's all group psychology. They introduce them to the group. They show them certain benefits, and they make it an attractive lure.
Look what they teach them in training in the group. They teach them that every citizen is dangerous. They might have a weapon. take control of the situation, you know, like guilty before proven innocent. That's what they're putting in their mind, that every citizen is a threat, right? They're all armed, you know, you don't know if they're a danger, you don't know what you're walking into, and I get it. But you don't got to treat everybody like that, man. If you can't tell
Well-
off the bat, then you shouldn't be a cop. Everyone isn't a threat.
Exactly. Because what do cops say? Like if a cop shoots an unarmed person in the line of duty, they get away with it because they always revert back to officer safety. And the officer says, well, my number one priority, I got to make sure I get home safe to my family. Well, then you shouldn't be a cop. Find another job, dude. Go flip burgers at McDonald's, dude. That's a safer job. You'll get home with your family every night. Because that's what they'll tell us. If I'm flipping burgers at McDonald's and I can't get ahead, I can't even afford to pay my rent, what do they tell me? Well, you need to find a better job, dude. All right. Well, when I hear cops say these sorts of things, like their number one priority is themselves and their family, well, you need to get a better job, homie. Because that's not a that's stupid to become a cop if that's what your number one priority. Just already a stupid decision you made. And I know that doesn't get us anywhere because, you know, we have to incentivize good policing, good cop, you know, the right people in there that do care and will reduce this friction between, you know, what policing should be and the community. They should be stewards of peace and resolving conflicts, not creating them, not kicking in doors over a plant or some, you know what I mean? They had some horrific things happen from them raiding people's houses over something like weed, bro.
How do you get the wrong address, right? You know?
Bro, come on, man. Yeah. Oops, our bad.
and it pisses me off, you know. I support Lackluster and James Freeman, and there's a few other ones. I always forget this other guy's name. He's a big part in it too. And Solo Yacker in Florida, and he's the armed fisherman. And there's a lot of other channels, but you know, I used to think I was ignorant to this, and I feel kind of stupid that I used to put it in the comments. But I used to say, let's keep suing them, and that'll teach them a lesson, and they'll put them in line. Then I found out that it's coming out of our tax money when we sue them. And I'm like, what?
Exactly.
And I'm thinking, so you mean to tell me these people are breaking the law, committing a crime, and because they're a cop, right? Well, they get sued. What's that called? It's not in Connecticut, but other states have it. Qualified immunity. And they have qualified immunity and our tax money. We're paying for their criminal actions. So not only that's why cops don't care. They'll step all over your rights over and over and over, because we're paying as they abuse us and our rights. We're paying for it, right? That's crazy, man. We need to abolish that somehow. So if we sue them and it comes out of their pockets, that'll really teach them a lesson.
Well, the same thing is happening with Google. Google is getting $800 million a year from the federal government. That, not counting the states. The states are giving them even more. But the federal government gives Google $800 million a year in subsidies. And they say it's to help setting up their data centers and all this shit, which is all questionable. But guess how much that Google is paying out per year to settle out of court violations of censorship, privacy, illegally harvesting data. They settle out of court. You know how much they pay for that? $600 million. So all the money that they're paying out,
they make the money. It's nothing to them, you know.
We're paying for them to violate our free speech.
Yeah.
And they're still making $200 million a year over the top of that.
Yeah.
Nah, bro. Nah.
That I have, you know, I like YouTube. They have a good platform. It's easy to use. But just like in life, I don't agree with everything everyone does, man. And
well, they're purposely dismantling This is all a controlled demolition of YouTube, bro. I've been here since before Google came along, and YouTube has not changed since Google took it over.
Yeah,
The,
it's
well,
the
the only thing,
police.
the
Don't
only
let it
thing
fool
that
you.
changed,
These platforms are run by government officials, man, to watch the masses. Take
right? But
notes.
that's a public that's a crime, bro. If we want to get down
But
in
how
the
many
in the
crimes
book,
do they commit and get away with it?
well,
You know,
they
it's a
get away
crime
with
for
it.
us,
That's
but not for them to do it. That's what
exactly.
I'm trying to get to. It's the government can do whatever they want. They legalize weed, but I paid the price for selling weed and smoking weed. I went to prison for that shit, and I was on probation many fucking years, over a decade, for marijuana. It ruined a lot of my life just for fucking weed. But now they could sell it and get paid for licenses and shit.
Yeah,
And my
well,
record's still fucking tarnished because of it. It's crazy, man. The
that's the only
government.
thing I've ever been arrested for was weed one time back in 2000. And they charged me with a felony intent to distribute. And I was just at somebody's house. I was there to buy 20.
You should have told them. You should have told them if it was bagged up. That's what I did. I had it in dime bags, nickel bags, and I had some in my pocket. And the cop pulled it out, and he goes, "Oh, are you distributing or whatever you sell?" I go, "No, that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 2 for Monday, 2 for Wednesday or Tuesday." You got to tell them I bag it up for personal use and to have a certain amount for certain days. Damn, in the groove, you got bucked out. Yeah, FTP is right. You know, I always comment in Lackluster and other and not either YouTube is censoring what I comment or the people running the stream are censoring it. And I get it. They have a platform to run and they got to abide by the policies, but I don't say anything bad, but I never really say anything positive about the pole ice because there's really nothing positive to say, man. You know, I look at all these fundraisers they do as phony. It's to get, they do things for a reason. These people play chess. They get the community, you know, they make it look like they're loving and caring. And like I said, there is officers that truly mean that shit, but they're outnumbered by the snakes. It's all part of being a snake. You know, that's why they're called snakes, because they use the same tactic as a snake. Snakes are wise. Serpents are very wise animals, if that's what you want to call them. Snakes aren't dumb. But yeah, it's been a dope build. I know it's like a repetition of a lot of stuff we always talk about, but I just, you know, I think, well, maybe new people will come in and you got to keep pumping this out. So maybe more people will talk to other people and it'll have a domino effect. You know, I'm not I just want to try to help. You know, it always starts with yourself. A lot of people say that in the chat. That's common sense, man. It should always start with yourself. But unless we do something about anything, it'll never change. We got to teach people to work together. Capitalism is just another ism. Colonialism, communism, it's all the same. As long as you got a system telling you what to do in any way, you're not free. And we just play along with it. That's the other problem. We go along with it. But yeah, I always say I just speak how I feel. It's the way I see my perception. I'm not here to tell anyone what to do. I don't promote violence, drugs, none of that. I tell people, do your own search and then some research. You know, search and research again. It's all up to you. You carve your own path in life. I'm not a fucking religion. I'm not a cult. I'm not a government system. I'm not a ruler. I am God, though. I am God and the devil. You gotta balance that shit out. But most of all, I'm just me. With a whole lot of chi. But yeah, I think I'm gonna end it here then. Because I just am. We went over a lot of different stuff. And I like when people play devil's advocate. That has to be. Even though I don't agree with some stuff, I still like to hear people out to see where they're at. Shit, Kimba is against a lot of things I say. And I like it because it makes me think from another angle. There's people in here that don't agree with a lot of stuff I say, but that's fine. I didn't mean to like just point at Kimba. There's other people too, and that's a good thing. People need to realize it's life. If people don't disagree, there's something wrong. Just think about these, like, look at North Korea, man. I'm just going to use real quick. Imagine living there. You have to follow what they say. They ain't playing no games over there. People got to escape that fucking country. You. And I just want to end it with this, man. I see a problem too. Like, anyone ever see these videos with these Hollywood characters? Now they're starting to speak the stuff we speak, and that bothers me because people are gonna tag along with that shit, man. That's why they're using them. They're gonna use the stuff we talk about and then stare them back to sleep. I see it a lot with a lot of comedians and just people in that area. They, you know, some people will do anything for money, and that's fine. That's their decision. I'm not hating on them. Do you? But I don't got to live with that shit. Peace, Marcel, man. Thanks for coming up. Thanks to Bex and In the Groove. Christos came up. Who else? Am I forgetting anyone? Nope. Peace to everyone in the chat. X the Most High Techniquer dropped a lot of good stuff in the chat. Maggot. Everybody, man. Candy. Jay Heighton. I don't know. Yug? Is that this guy's name? Yug? He said the best of all right here. And I agree with that. I always put that in the chats with the police videos. Sometimes I'll say, all I really have to say is FTP. Police are not there for you. One day, I like when people say, one day, you're going to need a cop to save your life. Hell no. I'm not calling the police to help me because they ain't there to help me. Imagine you legally carry a weapon and you have to use it, you know you're going to jail 99% of the time. That's sad. In a country you can legally carry, you're still going to get penalized for protecting yourself. Peace, Vividness 420. I said that real late. I seen it in there a while ago. Peace to everyone. Look Within, Bex, Kimba, Candy, Sir Drop. I have to go down a long list of people. Probably said everyone. Oh shit, the Gnostic Chef. Peace. I didn't see you come in here. Panhead 68. Panhead. Some of these names, man, people create make me laugh. Stationary Pizza. That's another one. Dion Sandals. I'm just gonna say peace to everybody because there's so many names. You gotta drop some new videos, Flat Earth Nation, man. I've been waiting on them. I enjoy those videos. You have good equipment. It would be one day. I'm hoping I could have a nice telescope with a camera hooked up to it to really look at the stars. No, there's got to be a better way to connect with the stars. I want to. I want to. What's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word. Not connect with the stars, but I can't think of the word I want to use. But anyway, I'll end it here. Peace to everyone, man. I appreciate you all. Maybe I'll go live later, but this is a dope build. I might leave this up on my second channel. You know, all my channels, well, I didn't even put nothing in the description today. I got to put that in there. But in the description are my channels. And peace to everyone. I'm out. And I appreciate you all. Have a good day, night, afternoon, wherever you are.